Champion St. Louis Rams, who are making their way out onto the field for the first time since 2 weeks ago, because last week was a bye week. Now they're back in action on the NFL on Fox to take on the Atlanta Falcons. Hello everyone, welcome to the NFL on Fox. I'm Sam Rosen. Bill Moss. The St. Louis Rams are on pace to break all kinds of offensive records, but right now, this week, all the concern is about their defense, Bill. What's going on?
You know, Sam, I think the big thing is the points given up. 3 times this year, they've given up over 30 points. That only happened twice in all of 99. And I think it's a couple reasons. One, I don't think they have the fire they had last year on defense. The guys aren't flying around to the ball. 2, the offenses that are coming in here have to score so many points that they're seeing different offenses than what they see on tape during the week. And 3, when they get a good lead, they put the young guys in, and the young guys make mistakes, and that's a big thing. Mike Martz had a talk with them about it, and I think they're going to improve today.
Now the Atlanta Falcons would like to find a way to score some points. Over the last 5 games, they've averaged only 13 points a game. What's wrong with their offense?
It all starts up front. That's the old adage. This is their 5th different combination of offensive linemen. Heck, you can't get any continuity up front when you keep changing guys in there. But the one thing I expect them to do today is establish the running game. They're going to go right at where Ray Agnew and DeMarco Favre usually are. They've got 2 new guys in there. Watch them to attack.
This is a big day in St. Louis sports because the Cardinals will be in playoff action tonight up in New York against the Mets. Game 4 of the National League Championship Series on Fox. But this afternoon, the Rams are in action, and there are the starting pitchers. For the Rams, it's Kurt Warner. For the Falcons, it's Chris Chandler. We'll be set to go right after these messages. Welcome back to St. Louis as we get set for the Rams and the Falcons. Second meeting of the season. They met 3 weeks ago in Atlanta. And the Falcons of Dan Reeves were beaten 41-20. They've lost the last 3 meetings with the Rams. For Dan Reeves, as you saw, 313th NFL regular season game as head coach. And there is Kurt Warner. As we get set for the opening kickoff, the Falcons have lost 3 in a row. The Rams have won their first 5. That's the rookie Derek Vaughn. He's got a cast on his right hand.
That's the deep guy on kickoff.
Yeah.
That's what kind of shape the Falcons are in injury-wise. When your deep guy returning kickoffs has a cast on, you're in a tough situation.
He is left-handed and will carry the ball in his left hand, but he's got a broken right hand. Jeff Wilkins will kick off. Derek Vaughn is deep, and we're underway. Vaughn from the 4. Finds an opening, bursts through with speed. He beats Wilkins. He may go all the way. The chase is on. Derek Vaughn wins the race. Touchdown, Falcons. His second kickoff return for a touchdown this season. This one is 96 yards, and the Falcons have grabbed the lead. Well, that was coming right off the bye week, and the Rams are stunned.
We take this thing, watch. This is a middle return. You follow the wedge right up. Now see the seam. They get the block right in on there. And then Vaughn just has the kicker to beat to the outside. You know, the Rams players were saying all along, somebody's going to beat this team somewhere along the lines. Why can't it be us? Why can't we show America that we can shock everybody? That was their approach this whole week coming into this game.
The rookie from Southwest Texas, Derek Vaughn, a 7th-round draft pick with his 2nd touchdown return of the season. There's a flag going down. Did they not have enough players on the field?
Offense.
No, they didn't.
5 yards.
Yeah, they're missing 1 player.
Yeah, and the Falcons players were out there, and they were all looking to the sidelines. Calvin Collins, 68. Heck, it happened so quick, Calvin Collins didn't even know he's supposed to be out there.
So they move it back 5, so the extra point try will come from the 15-yard line for Morton Anderson, who is playing in his 283rd NFL game. That's the 2nd most all time. The extra point is good, and the Falcons, after the opening kickoff touchdown, lead at 7-0.
They get this wall. See, they got the wall here, and then over here is the wedge. And Vaughn took it right in between the 2 of them. Gary Downs with a big block there. That really walled off that side. And then Vaughn took it up into the wedge.
Jamie, if you can
Downs had the block and cut. You know, another area, they talk about the Rams were concerned about defense this week. You know, through the bye week, you always do a self-evaluation of your team, try to figure out where you're at. Well, the special teams was a big area of concern, too, for Mike Martz. There was a lot of talk and speculation surrounding the special team, in particular their coach, Larry Pasquale. You know, that Mike Martz has not been happy with the efforts out of their coverage team and their return teams. Last year, they used to be able to return kicks. Tony Horn had 3 touchdown returns on kickoffs. You know, there's a lot, and that they haven't been getting that kind of energy out of their special teams this year.
There is Tony Horn, and he's had kickoff returns for touchdowns against the Falcons the last 2 seasons, but not this one. Last year, returned 101 yards. Anderson to kick off. Horn backs up 3 yards deep. And Horn finds the seam, slips a tackle, still on his feet, beats Morton Anderson, and Tony Horn's going all the way.
Can you believe this?
Touchdown Rams!
No flags anywhere. This is a game of special teams.
The track meet is on.
You talk about answering a call.
103 yards for Tony Horn. A career long. And he's had one in 3 consecutive seasons against the Falcons. This is unbelievable.
Hey, you know, they just came off a bye week. Coach Mike Martz gave him 8 days off, and they have something bad happen to him right away. They don't want to make Coach mad. They want more time off. They're going to answer that call.
There you go. Horn, great job here. Extra point is good.
Gerald McBarrow's had a shot, number 22 for the Falcons, to wrap up Horn right here. Bang. He missed. You've got to make that tackle. You're the safety man on that side. You have nobody blocking you. You're going to the ball. You break down, and Horn made him miss.
How about that? 2 touchdowns in 36 seconds. Pretty good pace, huh? So, the Rams get their kickoff return for a touchdown.
If you're sitting at home and you didn't get to your couch on kickoff, you've missed a lot.
All right, so we'll fill you in.
Derek Vaughn on the opening kickoff takes it back. And then they get the extra point afterwards. And then on the ensuing kickoff, it's Tony Horn out the gates. Breaks a Gerald McBarrow's tackle, outruns Morton Anderson, and down the sidelines with an escort by Leonard Little.
So now the Rams will kick off, our 3rd kickoff, and Tim Dwight
He's back.
is back deep, and he's playing with a broken rib.
Yeah, he's got the bad ribs. He's got a little flak jacket on.
All right. Let's see what he can do. I wonder if there's a problem with Derek Vaughn.
I'm getting winded watching this thing.
All right, no long kick. Wilkins bounces one. Brian Kozlowski's got it, and he's pulled down. So we'll actually get an offensive series going. The Falcons will start from the 35. And there comes the quarterback, Chris Chandler. Man, is this man resilient. He was knocked out of the game last week against the Giants in the 2nd quarter. Bad ribs, but here he is. Offensive line, the rookie Travis Claridge at right guard. Ephraim Salam's first start of the season at right tackle. Jamal Anderson's got to get it going. He rushed for over 12 yards last week. And that was on 12 carries.
This is like the opening kickoff now, you know? They traded off 7-7. Now they get the offense out there.
A lot of noise. Chandler changing the play.
You got 4 seconds on the clock.
Play action, swings it out to Christian, and he drops it. Christian usually reliable on plays like that. For St. Louis on defense, Galen Hyder was signed this week off the practice squad. Jeff Sconita's been in for the injured DeMarco Farr, but now Ray Agnew's out as well. Lorenzo Styles is in for Todd Collins at right linebacker. And Devin Bush is back after missing a couple of games with a hamstring injury. That should help the Rams. 2nd and 10, Christian in motion. Blitz is coming. They pick it up outside, complete to Terrence Mathis. Pushed out of bounds by Dexter McLeon at the 42. A pickup of 6 on the play.
Chandler was on the ground after that one, too. You know, they've got to watch how many times they allow Chandler to get hit. And they, of course, what I'm talking about that offensive line. I really believe that if Atlanta's going to have a chance in this game, they've got to protect Chandler. They can't let him get knocked around like he's been getting knocked around. And two, they've got to run the ball so he's able to set up off of that.
Rams 5 defensive backs. They also bring in Sean Moran and Leonard Little to rush, and now a timeout is called by the Rams. London Fletcher saw something he didn't like. Went to the official and called timeout to step out. We've only played a minute 4 seconds. And they're the touchdown makers. Tony Horn on the left, Derek Vaughn on the right.
They both look tired, Sam. Vaughn's catching his air. Horn's over there blowing.
They sprinted.
You know you're going to get fast things happening every time you play the Rams.
3 wide receivers in for the Falcons on 3rd and 4. Mathis in motion. Everybody out. Complete to Tim White. He's hit hard, but he held on. Big hit by Devin Bush, a former Atlanta Falcon.
You know, when Tim Dwight's around you, Tim Dwight's always an exciting player. He's going to make things happen. He's got those sore ribs, and you want to set a precedence early. When he's going to come across that middle, Devin Bush is sending a message with that hit right there. He knows Dwight is ailing in the ribs. He's going to give him a shot and hopefully continue to do that throughout the first half to set it for the rest of the game.
First down, Falcons at midfield. Jamal Anderson on the draw. He ran into Keith Lyle, picked up about 4 on the play. Carries 12 yards last week, and one of those carries was for 9 yards, so he struggled.
Well, one of the areas they're going to attack are these two guys, Galen Hyder and Jeff Sconita. Now, Sconita is in the rotation normally, but he's not a starter. Ray Agnew's out, DeMarco Farr. You see the seal block right there? There's the seal, and there's the lane for Jamal Anderson. And that's what the Falcons have got to do. They've got to establish, they've got to control those two guys. That's their weak link.
Mathis in motion, the fake toss. Chandler over the middle and completes to the tight end Reggie Kelly. A first down for the Falcons, close to the 30-yard line. Devin Bush rode him down, but Reggie Kelly has been a regular target the last couple of weeks.
He really came on last week, and he's a guy, remember, they traded for him and gave away a big draft choice for him to get him on the team, and Dan Reeves thought that much of him. Now, last year, he was kind of gradual, and maybe had 20, 24 catches through the course of the year. But this year, he's really picking up. He's a guy that can stretch you, too. He's got speed, he can get down the seam, and he's got good hands.
Rookie Maurice Smith is in at running back to give Jamal Anderson some rest. A rookie out of North Carolina A&T, undrafted free agent. No gain on the play. Lorenzo Styles in at right linebacker for Todd Collins made the tackle.
Yeah, well, they had the 2 tight ends over on that side. All right, so 2 tight ends are over here. Now watch, there's Lorenzo Styles right here, and watch him shoot and then flatten down the line. When you get a heavy 2 tight end set over here, that's when you know they're going to come your way. And there was Styles coming right off Kozlowski and straightening down the line.
Jamal Anderson is back in the backfield. Rams have 5 defense backs in on 2nd and 10. Tim Dwight in motion and resets. Chandler with time, going deep, and it's incomplete. The flag on the play. Intended for Terrence Mathis. Dre Bly was covering, and it looks like it may be against Dre Bly.
Yeah, it sure is. Is that Dre Bly or is that Dry Blay?
Howie get on Howie.
Howie said it was Dry Blay. I heard him. Then he blamed it on Terry.
Pass interference. Defense, number 32. Ball is in. Out of the foul. We're down.
Well, they create the one-on-one matchup outside here. There's Dre Bly working. Now watch at the end of this. There's the contact. He's looking back, and he had his hand extended. He's going, you have your arm across the chest, and you're looking back. See that arm right there? That's going to come out. That's going to draw the flag every single time.
21-yard penalty, 1st and goal, Falcons at the 9. The drive started from their own 35. Jamal Anderson.
Right up the middle.
Straight ahead to the 6-yard line. About Jamal not running with the same explosiveness he had 2 years ago.
Well, it's hard coming back. Watch this matchup. Here's Galen Hyder, the guy they brought up off practice squad. Watch what Travis Claridge does. See that seal block right there? If you're going to shoot a gap in your defensive tackle, it makes it real easy for the offensive line to just seal you off. But you were talking about Jamal Anderson, Sam, and that injury, it takes 2 years at least. He's got the good straight-ahead speed. He doesn't have the make-you-miss in him anymore.
Kozlowski in motion, 2nd and goal. Chandler looking, and incomplete. There's a flag down in the backfield. Maybe holding. Wistrom was going hard against Bob Whitfield, and it's holding against the Falcons.
Whitfield even said, he said, Wistrom, he's going to give you everything he has every play. You can't go to sleep on him.
Holding. 70 offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, 2nd down.
Oh, you saw what he thought about it, too.
Yes.
Watch number 70 at the top. And see his arm up around the thing? His arm was up around the collar of Wistrom outside. You know, that's what drew the flag. Now, as far as conventional holding, it wasn't really holding. That was necky. You know, that was Australian for necky.
That's right. There was a wrestling hold. Falcons pushed back to the 16. It's 2nd and goal. 3 wide receivers for Atlanta. Chandler gets time. Throws to the end zone. Touchdown! Terrence Mathis. The Atlanta Falcons drive 65 yards. And Chris Chandler getting time. Found Terrence Mathis.
Getting time was the key, Sam, and that's one thing Chris Chandler necessarily always hasn't had throughout his career, in particular at the start of this year. But he had good pass protection up front, and that bought him time, because for that route to work, you need time.
So the Falcons lead again. They've gotten the ball twice. They scored on the opening kickoff, and then from the first possession from the line of scrimmage, they score an offensive touchdown. Their first offensive touchdown since they scored in the 4th quarter 3 weeks ago against the Rams. Chandler puts it on the board. Terrence Mathis grabs it.
Harvey. Hey, Ted. That was my last one.
Moving on, guys. He's dry.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down.
Eat it.
Make it a Bud Light.
Are raving about Jessica Alba in the new hit Dark Angel. She's a sci-fi stunner who's destined for stardom. She'll be haunting your dreams.
I haven't been able to get you off my mind.
You need to get out more.
James Cameron's Dark Angel, an all-new episode at 9/8 Central, Fox Tuesday.
Officially a 64-yard touchdown drive, and only the 2nd touchdown for the Falcons in their last 14 possessions in the red zone inside the 20.
And it all's coming off the running game. These things are able to happen because they're able to run the ball.
Anderson kicks off, going deep to Tony Horn. He steps up to the 9-yard line. And this time he's pushed back and pulled down at the 20-yard line.
Let's go back and take a look at that touchdown. We were talking about the protection, the guys up front. I want you to watch over here. Travis Claridge, the rookie. Watch where he gets a piece of Moran first, and then he comes off. And also take a look at Jamal Anderson step in and pick this up. That's a great job, and now look at the pocket. That's the most time I think I've ever seen Chandler have this year. And then on the route, Tim Dwight clears. And then Mathis makes Dre Bly bite on the out, and he gets a little bit of separation there.
So now the Rams go on offense.
Put on your seatbelt, big boy. We're in for a ride.
Here we go. Kurt Warner back in action. Play fake, puts it up in the air on first down. And a one-handed grab.
Wow.
Did he hold on? The Falcons say no. And it touched the ground. It's incomplete. Great effort by Isaac Bruce.
You know, that's the one thing you see. Kurt Warner's always going to throw that ball out in front to give his receivers time to catch it on the run. Here's Bruce down the bottom. He just didn't pull it. You saw the ball hit the ground. Just couldn't pull it in.
Attack.
Heck of an effort.
Attack, attack, attack is Mike Martz's philosophy. And the Rams go right to the air. They come out with 4 wide receivers, and now the whistle stops play. And referee Jeff Triplett's going over to the Atlanta sideline. Jeff Triplett in his 5th year as an NFL referee.
Dan Reeves wants to talk to him. He might have hit that button by mistake. Dan Reeves bent over to talk to one of the. He's back there talking to Chris Chandler, and he bent over and hit that button. That's what happened.
He doesn't want to challenge that play.
Well, unless he wants to keep his streak alive of not winning. He's had terrible luck every time he challenges.
There you go. Hey, you picked that up quick.
Yeah, well, see, you know, normally now if one of the fat guys was wearing it and you bend over, then the buzzer gets hit. But Dan Reeves shouldn't have had that problem.
All right. So an inadvertent ringing, pushing of the buzzer. No challenge. And it's 2nd and 10 for the Rams. In their first meeting, Kurt Warner threw 4 touchdown passes in the game, and 3 of them were for 66 yards or more.
Boy, these guys move and shift a lot.
Warner swings it outside to Oz Hakeem, and he picks up just a couple of yards on the play. Let's take a look at the Rams on offense. Kurt Warner just leading everybody with his brilliant passing. The offensive line, Andy McCullum at center, Ryan Tucker, new starters this year. Marshall Faulk having a terrific year again. Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce, great receiving tandem. And Roland Williams is stepping up at tight end.
Yeah, they're the 4x4. That's the 4x4 team right there.
Here's 3rd and 8 with 3 wide receivers in.
Blitz.
Warner gets rid of it, and it's incomplete. Going for Torrey Holt. And the man who hardly works, John Baker, will see some action.
This is a moral victory. That's a moral victory, Sam. If it's gotten to the point with the Rams that if you hold them to a punt, defensively, that's a big, big boost. Not many teams get this situation where they get them 3 and out.
First punt in the month of October. They played only 1 game prior to this. That was 2 weeks ago. Only their 4th third and out for the Rams this season. Baker kicks it away, wobbling kick. And it's grabbed, fair catch by Winslow Oliver. Right now, the Atlanta Falcons have the upper hand. Kickoff return for a touchdown, 64-yard touchdown drive, and Chris Chandler's heading out on offense again. As much as the Rams offense produces, the defense gives up a lot too, Bill.
Hey, that's been the big thing with Mike Martz through the bye week. You know, the big emphasis is on defense. A lot of talk about John Bunting leaving. He was an emotional guy. Dick Vermeil gave that defense some emotion too. And that's Peter Junta, the defensive coordinator. Mike Martz said he wants to take the offensive philosophy and excitement and somehow get that on the defensive side of the ball.
Falcons from the 44. Terrence Mathis in motion. 2 tight ends are in. Kelly left and Kozlowski right. Jamal Anderson picks his way up near midfield. Pickup of about 6 on the play. Good job by the Falcons.
I've mentioned Travis Claridge a couple times already, a rookie. He's looking pretty impressive. Watch him lead this play over to this side and get the block for Jamal. This is a power O. He gets London Fletcher right there, and there's the seal. This guy, he's pretty impressive. But you see what the Falcons are getting that ball, and they're getting it running, and they're getting it running downhill. And when they do that, this offense is good. When they're unable to do that, it's when they look terrible.
Falcons have been averaging just 65 yards per game rushing. Chandler swings it out to Bob Christian. This one he holds on to, and he's got a first down at the Rams 45. Across the 45, Devin Bush brought him down. There's Devin Bush.
Had that turf toe for a while. Kept him out a couple games. In a bye week, and able a bunch of these guys to start getting better. Todd Light also had the turf toe as well.
And Bush had a hamstring problem. And for a safety, that's bad. There's Todd Light.
Well, if you've got to cover Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt in practice, I imagine my hamstring would be hurting too.
Yeah. First down from the Rams 44. Blitz coming. It's picked up by Christian. Jamal Anderson drops the pass.
That ball was thrown a little bit behind him, but you know, Jam should have caught it. You know, Chris Chandler said, hey, yeah, sorry, I put it behind you a little bit, but a guy like Jamal Anderson should have pulled that one in.
Anderson goes to the sideline. Maurice Smith is coming in.
Maurice Smith is a big back. And this guy is an undrafted rookie, free agent. 240-some pounds, over 6 foot tall.
Second and 10, Mathis in motion. 2 tight ends in. Oh, miscommunication. There's the rookie. Chandler ran right into the rookie.
And they're saying fumble on this.
Let's see what the official says. They talk it over. And it's down by contact. It's a loss of about 4 on the play.
Yeah, well, this is the draw play. Chandler comes back on the draw, and Smith goes the wrong way. I can only imagine it was Smith, being that he is the rookie here. And after the play, Maurice Smith and Chandler got up and exchanged words with each other.
It was only his 3rd NFL carry.
This is where the Falcons struggle. Third down.
They have to get to the 34. Rushes on. Chandler throwing deep for Mathis, overthrown. He was double covered on the play, and Chandler took a hit after he released. So the Rams defense stiffens, and the Falcons will punt.
If the Falcons don't get something on 1st and 2nd down, and they get in 3rd downs in long situations, they struggle. They got 27% on 3rd down, and that percent may mean nothing to you, but the average in the NFL, good teams have around 40. The Rams have 60% on 3rd down.
Straczynski, high kick toward the corner, angles it out of bounds. It hit at the 5-yard line, and they will spot it right there. Great kick by Dan Straczynski. 42-yard punt. And the Rams are pinned deep in their own territory. Rams start from their own 5-yard line with their 2nd offensive series. Warner throws, and it is almost intercepted. Good play by Jesse Tuggle to break it up.
Well, they get a double tight formation, eye backs, and you know, you're thinking run right away. Watch the play of the linebacker. There's Henri Crockett here. Jesse Tuggle with a jump. You know what? I'll tell you, Atlanta's playing like a team that didn't have a bye week.
They are fired up. 6-4. Up to the 12-yard line. Patrick Kearney, number 97, defensive end, 2nd-year man from Virginia, brought him down. Hey, the man in the light blue shirt is back in St. Louis. Dick Vermeil, who coached the Rams to the Super Bowl championship last season, the NFL Coach of the Year. Great to see Dick. Looks wonderful. Things out. Flew in from San Francisco. His former team. 3rd and across the 20. Ashley Ambrose took down Oz Hakeem after a 9-yard pickup. First down of the game for the Rams.
Well, that was a 3rd down. Remember I was talking about that 3rd down completion percent? A lot of it is because watch number 13. In the face of pressure, knowing he's going to go down, knowing he's going to get knocked around, stays in there and makes that throw possible. You know, that's one of the, I think, things that he does better than most quarterbacks. Under pressure.
Yard line. Mark Semino, number 53, the rookie out of Kansas State, third-round draft pick, is in and made the stop.
You know, the one thing the Atlanta Falcons did last time they played the Rams down in Atlanta was they really took Marshall Faulk out of the equation. Marshall only had 18 yards receiving, and collectively run and pass together, they held them under 100 yards for the game. One of the only teams that were able to do that thus far.
Was that because of Keith?
A big focal thing for Rich Brooks. Control 28.
Brooking is missing his second consecutive game, out with an injury.
Brooking was fast. I tell you, he was surprised watching that film of him play. He can run.
Will we please not blow the whistles in the stands? The whistles in the stands.
All right. Thank you, Jeff.
You don't see that very often. But now the whistles are going. That's just an invitation for the whistles to start blowing. Now people are whistling with their fingers.
Ball's at the 23 for the Rams. Pushing. Maybe some confusion and pressure from Travis Hall.
And a little bit of rust showing on the Rams.
Prior to the snap, false start, 88, offense, 5-yard penalty, repeat, second down.
They got the false start outside with everybody moving around, everybody shifting in the motions. But, you know, they look on offense a little bit rusty. And on Friday when I saw them out of practice, they just didn't look as crisp as they normally do. You know, they had a lot of time off, and your mind wanders a little bit. Guys go home, and they see their families. They go to their alma maters and watch them play. And so,
has Semino closed quickly, and Kearney was there as well for Atlanta.
And how often do you see that? Kurt Warner not getting rid of the ball. I mean, that's a great tribute to the Atlanta Falcons secondary. Take a look at the guys outside. Watch them get covered up here. And there's no place to throw the ball. Here, here, and here. And you don't see that very often. One of the things you want to do with a team like this is you want to make the quarterback hold the ball. You know, they say pat the ball, watch the quarterback pat the ball with his opposite hand. If you make him pat the ball.
Breaking away. Isaac Bruce staying on his feet is pulled down in Falcons territory at the 36.
That quick, you can take a rusty team and knock the rust off of it. Isaac Bruce, there's a big jam. Now watch the break on the inside. Ray Buchanan was playing the pick instead of playing the receiver. He goes for the ball instead of the receiver, and Isaac Bruce splits the two of them.
Marshall Faulk, and he turns nothing into something. 20 goes to the 26-yard line. He picked up about 9 on the play.
It's funny. You can see the Rams. They're sloppy. You've had the offsides. You've had the fumbled play. You've had bad throws. You've had bad routes. But you can see they've still got enough that no matter what they do, they're going to get you somehow, some way. Now, you can only hope that for the Rams that a lot of this rust doesn't cost them someplace, that they can shake it off here in the first quarter. It's obvious to me that they're a little sloppy.
With that long pass to Isaac Bruce, Kurt Warner has gone over 2,000 yards in his first. Inside the 15.
And you know what? The Rams knew that was coming that side. They knew it was coming that side, and they still couldn't stop it. Watch. Look, they shift the nose tackle over to this side. Look at the overload they have here, and they still run the ball there. They've got 4 or 5 guys in here, and they still all get picked up.
Nice blocking. Holcomb, Timmerman,
Good job. Beavers were down there.
Down to the 13, but there's a flag on the play down to the outside, and we'll check it out.
There is no foul for offensive pass interference since the quarterback did not throw the football. Second down.
Thank you, Jeff.
Good coverage all the way downfield. Everywhere you look, people are covered up. You know, they're small. They're small victories, but they're victories. And if you're a defensive team playing this explosive Rams offense, you've got to take great pride in them.
2nd and 10. Warner throws to the corner and almost intercepted by Ray Buchanan. But on the near sideline, there's a flag on the play. There was some action in the interior.
Orlando Pace lost his helmet.
He did.
Pace's helmet's off. It popped off in the action there.
Let's find out what happened. It's against the Falcons.
Illegal use of the hand.
Yes.
I wonder if that wasn't to Orlando Pace's face mask and had popped that helmet off.
Illegal use of hands. Hands to the face. 99 defense. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Chuck Wiley. Yep. A lot of times, see, when you get tied up with a big offensive lineman, sometimes you just slip that hand up into his face to get him off you. And that pushed the helmet off of Orlando Pace.
So now it's 1st and goal for the Rams at the 9-yard line. Chris Thomas, number 89, is in as the 3rd wide receiver. He's out to the right side. Looking for Torrey Holt. Knocked away. Good play by Ashley Ambrose.
You know, those are two guys, you know, Buchanan, who almost had the interception, and Ashley Ambrose. When we were speaking with him yesterday, the one thing they said you've got to do when you play the Rams is, one they said ice your hamstrings all week long because they're so fast. But two, he says you can, you know, there's a time in your clock when pass routes are run that you can never, when you play them, you just can't think that the pass is over. Because these guys just keep going. You've got to stay on them and just keep following them wherever they go. You can never think that the play is developing.
Rams 4 wide receivers in with the handoff inside of Marshall Faulk. Gets to the 5, falls forward to the 3. It'll bring up 3rd and goal.
You know, that's one thing that I don't think Marshall Faulk gets enough credit for, is how tough of a running back he is. You know, everyone thinks Marshall Faulk, he can use him as a wide receiver. He's versatile. He catches passes out of the backfield. But when it comes time to line up and run somebody over, he's as tough as there is.
Here's a surprise. End of the 1st quarter, and the Rams are trailing. They've won 14 straight at home, but at the end of the quarter, they trail the Falcons 14-7. Back in St. Louis, where the Falcons are leading the Rams 14-7. Sam Rosen along with Bill Moss. The Falcons did some great things in the 1st quarter. Now the question is, can they keep it up?
Well, I think that's a big question. They've got a boost. They're on the road. They're ahead, and the Rams have been rusty. You know, they've got to feed off that, hold them to a field goal here.
3rd and goal. Warner gets time. Can he find somebody? Yes. Touchdown to Tony Horn. His 2nd touchdown of the game. Kurt Warner has now thrown touchdown passes in 25 consecutive games.
You can't give Kurt Warner that much time. I mean, if you do, you know what the outcome is going to be. He sat back there. He had about 8 yards of green between himself and the line of scrimmage.
Jeff Wilkins, oh, it's a run for 2 points, and did he get in? London Fletcher says he did.
They haven't signaled.
The officials have not signaled.
They have not signaled it yet. It should be in. There's
The
your signal.
officials are still talking it over.
they gave a signal down there. They signaled touchdown.
Number 55 had reported eligible during the try. Therefore, the try is good. 2 points, St. Louis.
London Fletcher on the shovel pass. The Rams find all ways to score. London Fletcher, 2-point conversion. Rams lead.
Well, here's the touchdown drive. Watch all the time Kurt Warner has. Nobody around him. Oh, he's waiting and waiting. Then he finds it to Tony Horn, who beat Gerald McBarrows in the back. And now we'll take a look on the extra point conversion. It turns into a 2-point try. That's London Fletcher right here. Heck, this team, Mike Martz believes everybody is capable of scoring. We got linebackers scoring now.
And John Baker kicking off. And a rolling kick. Kozlowski fumbled it, picks it up, and is down at the 37-yard line. So not Jeff Wilkins kicking off. It was the punter, John Baker. Well, these Rams can score. The greatest scoring team was the Rams of the 1950s. The 1950 team,
Norm Van Block,
led by Norm Van Block,
yes,
Brocklin, Tom Fears, Crazy Legs Hirsch. They could put points on the board. They averaged 38.8 points per game, but these Rams average more. Van Brocklin, Glenn Davis, Crazy Legs Hirsch, the coach.
38.8 points per game. 9-3 record. They lost to Cleveland. Championship.
That's right. Now the Falcons go from the 37. Rams leading for the first time. It's 15-14. Mathis in motion. Jamal Anderson cuts back. And with good power gets across the 40. London Fletcher, the middle linebacker who scored the 2-point conversion, made the tackle.
You know, a lot of people talk about the Rams defense and giving up all these points and what's wrong with them. You know, it's really difficult because teams come in here offensively and do stuff they've never done before. They want to try to score quick, and they want to try to score fast because they want to try to keep pace with what St. Louis's offense is going to do. So what they prepare for on film all week, then all of a sudden they see something different as soon as they get out on the field. It's hard.
Christian shifts. Anderson carries, runs into a wall, and can't bounce it outside. Good job by the Rams. And they're pumped up.
You know, one of the guys that's pumped up all the time is Grant Wistrom. You know, I like him. I like his style. I like the way he played. He plays bigger than what he is. He gets more out of his body. Look at him split the double team here and hold that thing up and get in the middle. And I mean, you're going to get a lot of beat there. There's Whitfield, there's Banks coming at you, and he not only holds his ground with that double team, but he separates it and gets a piece of the tackle as well.
Wistrom wanted more intensity from his fellow defenders, and they're showing some. Dwight in motion. On 3rd down. Chandler being rushed. Jamal Anderson, good grab and a first down. Keith Lyle trips him up. But Jamal Anderson gets into Rams territory. 12-yard pickup. Nice play and a good catch by Jamal.
Yeah, but you just see that? I mean, Jamal is one-on-one on the outside, and he chose to just go straight forward and lower his shoulder on him. Instead of the old Jamal Anderson had enough movability in him in his hips that he'd make you miss. But he was one-on-one on the outside there, and he lowered his helmet and tried running over instead of making a miss.
See the numbers last week. Things going a lot better for Jamal Anderson and the Falcons this week offensively. Kevin Carter is out. Fernando Smith just signed this week. Is in for the Rams at defensive end. Chandler completes outside. And wrestled down is Sean Jefferson. Lots of action around the NFL. Let's get an update from JB.
Not the least of which Sam and Bill was the Cowboys have scored 17 consecutive times in the red zone. Stopped right there with Sean Williams picking off Troy Aikman, his 2nd pick of the day. Ricky Williams looking for his 4th 100-yard day. Had 34 yards on the drive, and the score, 7-0 Saints. Back to Sam and Bill.
Still doesn't compare to what's going on here.
All the time. You know that Sean Williams, that safety for the Giants? I think that's one of the top young safeties in the league. He's sensational.
He's playing very well. Mathis went in motion and stopped Jamal Anderson. Right up the middle. Wiggles his way through for a couple of yards down to about the 37-yard line. Let's go downstairs the sideline to Pete Pearson. Pete.
Well, guys, Jeff Wilkins, the Rams kicker, has a right quad strain, and right now wide receiver Chris Thomas is warming up in the net, so we may see him. Of course, you saw John Baker kick off. Big difference for the Rams as far as kickers are concerned.
Rams holding tryouts.
Well, that explains going for the 2 points down there with London Fletcher. Now you got Chris Thomas. Chris Thomas is going to be doing some kicking here. Heck, he might even score himself. Everybody scores on this team.
Chandler off the play fake. Plenty of time. Finally finds Sean Jefferson out of bounds at the 30-yard line. Picked up 7 on the play.
You know, Chandler
McCleon took him out.
Chandler just turned 35 on Thursday.
Happy birthday
to him. Yes, sir. You know, and the one thing he said when I said, hey, what do you see when you see the Rams offense? You know, a lot of people say, well, I see speed, I see Isaac, I see Marshall, I see Kurt. He said, I see protection. He said, I see Kurt Warner have all day to make throws. And that's a big thing for a quarterback. He says, when I got to make throws, there's people all in my face. You know, today, he's getting protection. Today, he's getting time.
And you see the numbers, 8 for 11. His 13th year in the NFL, his 4th year with the Falcons. That's his longest stint with any team. Jamal Anderson. Good job by the Rams. It's close to the first down marker. He had to get to the 27. Last week was a nightmare for Chris Chandler as the Giants just pounded him.
They just teed off on
Pete
him.
Monty up the middle.
Yeah, and you know, Chandler, though.
Ryan Phillips.
Dave Thomas.
Dave Thomas on the blitz.
That's the one that knocked him out there with the ribs. He was out. And, you know, for the course of his career, though, Chandler's one of those. He has as many injuries as Evel Knievel has. maybe more. Every place he's been, when he's down in Houston, when he's Tampa, here, when he's with the Rams before. And this guy's always been whacked around.
Keep him healthy, and he plays well. 2 years ago, he led the team to the Super Bowl. It was a first down for the Falcons. 8th play of the drive. Chandler throwing for the corner. He's got a man.
What a catch.
And the catch is taken away. Dexter McCleon. Dexter McCleon with the interception.
But they're going to roll him down back there at the 3. That was I thought Tim Dwight had that ball and was coming down with it. It appeared to me the ball was in his hands, and McCleon just ripped it right out of his hands.
McCleon, he outduels Tim Dwight. It's an interception for the Rams.
By Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar for a taste that is as American as Applebee's. And by Miller Lite. Grab a Miller Lite. It's Miller time.
Rams from their own 3. Marshall Faulk gets out to about the 7-yard line. Dexter McCleon with his 3rd interception of the season.
This all started right at the line of scrimmage. Watch him jam and literally mug Tim Dwight. Gets his hands on him here. Now right there, he's got his hand in his collar, holding him up, slowing him down. And he never allows Dwight to get any kind of separation from him.
Should have been a penalty beyond 5 yards, you think?
Well, yeah, it very well could have been, but that's letting the guys play. Actually, I'd like to see that for the defense. Get a piece of the guys, slow it down a little bit, but you need to enforce it like that all the time.
Play fake to draw to Robert Holcomb, the fullback, and Holcomb is up close to a first down. Looks like he's got it. Up and around the 14-yard line.
You know, that's the one thing you can't do when you play the Rams is make mistakes. You know, you figure offensively and defensively, you have around 140 to 150 plays throughout the course of the game. When you play the Rams and you drive the field and you're down there in that area, you can't turn the ball over.
Holcomb and Falk in the backfield. The play fake by Warner. He's got time, and he goes deep. And he's looking for Isaac Bruce, and he's got it. What a grab by Isaac Bruce. Ray Buchanan was all over him.
Well, again, I can't emphasize the time they had. Watch the time these guys up front give them. They try to run a little stunt here, and watch this thing get picked up. Kurt Warner doesn't have to worry about anybody, and that allows these deep routes. You know, everybody wants to talk about, boy, they got speed, they got this. You can't run deep routes unless your guys up front do an outstanding job. And that offensive line is probably the most improved area over the last 2 years on this team than any place else.
2 catches, 79 yards for Isaac Bruce. This one short to Oz Hakeem into Falcons territory, down at around the 47-yard line. Ronnie Bradford made the tackle, but Kurt Warner is starting to heat up. Warner is getting his game going.
Mike Martz, one thing that he emphasizes with his team, and everyone thinks, well, with all the guys they have, it's all pass, pass, pass. One of his big emphasis is the protection up front. He knows none of this stuff can happen. He goes into games with 37 different kinds of protection for his guys up front.
Falk gets a block and is pushed back after he got to the 45-yard line. Ray Buchanan with a hard hit. It'll bring up a 3rd and 1 for the Rams.
Mike Martz also, he's got that card he looks at, and he's got everything. Most teams, script plays nowadays. Mike Martz, he has his plays, but he doesn't give them to the entire team.
Why is that?
He doesn't want them to think that, well, I'm going to run the ball, pass the ball, because he likes to sit back and see what you're going to do defensively first, and then he'll find a way to beat you.
2 tight ends in for the Rams on 3rd and 1. Marshall Falk knocks it back for a big hole and a first down at the 35. He needed 1. He got 10.
And he set up that defense. Marshall Falk set that all up himself. And those are the things I'm talking about the credibility he has as a pure running back.
Falk 8 carries, 53 yards.
You believe they got that guy for a 2nd and a 5th round pick?
Steal.
And that's the steal. Of all of football.
You got it. Rams have come from their own 5-yard line to the Falcons 35. Earlier they had their longest drive of the season, 12 plays, 95 yards. Here they go again. Looks like the Falcons jumped off. Flags fly. Travis Hall was the first man across the line.
And this goes back to the interception with McLean.
Encroachment, 98 defense. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
When I talk about making mistakes, you can't afford to make any mistakes against the Rams, because yeah, you have them pinned up, but look at this drive they've got going now. They've taken the ball, they're marching down the field with you. When you have the ball offensively, you can't afford, you've got to be able to find a way to score at the end.
Have to correct myself. This drive actually started at the 3-yard line after the interception. So they've come 67 yards. The shifting goes on. Falk goes wide left.
And they're right in strike zone. This is their strike zone.
Pump fake. Hit as he throws. Open man, a little too far. Big hit by Travis Hall on Kurt Warner just as he released the pass intended for Isaac Bruce.
But you see where we're talking about the strike zone. This is where they like to get you and let their line block for you and then set things up. Travis Hall with the nice push through the protection and gets a piece of Warner just as he's delivering it. And I believe if he didn't get a piece of Warner, that would have been 6.
Chris Thomas has come in for Isaac Bruce.
He's not kicking, is he?
No.
Okay.
3 wide receivers in. Falk goes in motion to make it 4. And they go inside of Holcomb. It's down to about the 27-yard line. Now, on the opening kickoff of the game, we believe the Rams' Jeff Wilkins was injured. This is where he strained the quad. Yeah, you can feel it. See that? On the kick itself. So Wilkins on the sideline with a strained quad. Be interesting to see what happens to the Rams kicking game as this game goes along. Warner going off the back foot, incomplete, intended for Torrey Holt, who was covered by the linebacker on the play, Mark Semino.
Yep.
That was Falk, excuse me.
Falk, yeah. But that's the one thing that the Falcons, Rich Brooks, has always been able to do when he plays these guys. He can get his linebackers, and all his linebackers can run. Semino, Brookings, Draft. And that's good coverage. Heck, in San Diego game, when the Rams played San Diego, they really got after They used Marshall Falk against Junior Seau. I mean, they really got after Seau.
So with the kicker hurting on 4th and 2, the Rams go for it. 4 wide receivers in. Falk gets a first down. Still going to the 11-yard line.
I thought I saw a little movement up there on the offensive line. I thought Warner pulled out, or somebody moved early, it appeared to me.
Picked up 16 on the play. Let's see.
Take a look. It looked like Warner moved before the ball was snapped, or they moved. Yeah, there's movement. Warner's pulling out of there before that ball's even snapped. That's a flag. That flag should come out.
But it didn't.
See him move?
Yep.
You can't move like that before the ball snapped.
The play stands, no flag. Falk has picked up 69 yards on 9 carries, and the Rams have 1st and 10 at the 11. Warner fires, completes to Isaac Bruce. Down to about the 1-yard line. Close to the 1st down marker. 3rd catch of the game for Isaac Bruce.
The Rams just have fun. And that's all there is to it. They are stacked with talent, obviously. The system complements all this talent. But they're out there having fun. 4th down, what the heck, we'll go for it. If we don't get it here, we'll get it again. Backed up on the 2-yard line in their own 2-yard line, we'll drive the field. It doesn't matter. They believe so wholeheartedly in everything they do.
2nd and inches to the goal line. Touchdown, Justin Watson.
Yeah, let's get him in the mix, too.
The 2nd-year man out of San Diego State.
Look, and they got to go for 2 now. You see, Kurt Warner has to go back for 2. We have to go for 2 because the field goal kicker's down.
A 97-yard drive. The Rams' last drive was 95 yards. This one is 97.
Well, I can only tell you that if there was ever a team built that didn't need a field goal kicker, this is it right here. Now, this may be the wave of football, too. It forces you to score touchdowns. It forces you to go for 2. So Justin Watson gets in the mix. London Fletcher gets in the mix. Tony Horn's in the mix.
12 plays, 97 yards. The previous drive was 12 plays, 95. Let's see what the Rams come up with for the extra point. It's inside, and it fails as Falk is brought down at the 1-yard line. The extra point try for 2. Fails. The Rams lead it 21-14 after the Watson touchdown. Ernie Conwell's the number 2 tight end.
He was a number 1 blocker on this touchdown run. Watch Ernie Conwell here. Gate Brady Smith and then get up into Semino here. This is a heck of a block. Look at this thing. Wow. Adam Timmerman was pulling. Adam Timmerman didn't have anybody to block.
And that is wide receiver Chris Thomas, 50-man out of Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and he's going to kick off.
And the back judge was saying, who are you? Hey, do you know what you're doing?
Jeff Wilkins on the opening kickoff strained his quad muscle. The opening kickoff went to Derek Vaughn, and he returned it 96 yards for a touchdown.
He's a lefty, too.
But he's not in. Tim Dwight is back there. The lefty kick from Thomas bounces down. Dwight juggled it, returns it. Good return across the 35 up to the 37.
Something exciting is always going to happen when you come to the TWA Dome, that's for sure, Sam.
The Rams are being heralded as the best offensive team ever. We're looking at some of the other great offensive teams of the past. 2 years ago, the Vikings put up tremendous numbers. Cunningham, 34 touchdowns. They scored the most points in NFL history. Well, the Rams look like they're going to challenge that. Chandler on 1st down to Jamal Anderson. Got a lead man with him. That was Travis Claridge. Big pickup by Jamal Anderson. Down to the Rams 37.
And Chris Chandler sold that thing beautifully. You know, he backpedaled through it. Watch him backpedal and let the Rams defense get upfield. Look at him. He stands there and lets them get in front of him so that he creates a separation for the screen to develop.
28-yard pickup for Jamal Anderson. Chris Chandler is 9 for 13, 108 yards. 3 wide receivers in. Tim Dwight's gone to the right side. Chandler. Batted down.
Galen Hyder.
That's the man who was just signed this
beef.
year, Galen Hyder.
He's beef. I mean, they brought him in. He's big. He's developed. He was on the practice squad. He's gotten better and better as they watch him. They figure, heck, we got to get him in the mix of things. And what they like most about him is he's a big man who can push the middle of the pocket with that big body.
There's a flag on the play, and it's against the Rams.
You know,
Kevin Carter was offside on the play.
Make no mistakes about it. Mike Martz has sent a huge warning signal to the Rams defense. They cut Nate Hobgood-Chittick, who was a favorite of all these defensive guys, in order to bring in Galen Hyder and you know, get this team better.
Draw play to Jamal Anderson. Big hole. Anderson cuts it back, heading to the end zone. And he is ridden down at the 5-yard line by Keith Lyle. And that's the Jamal Anderson we know from 2 years ago. Beautiful run.
You know, and that cutback lane just should not be there. Watch this play start here. Now watch it come back right where the defensive tackle Hyder was. Hyder went for a ride. That opened up the gates for Anderson.
New York Mets, Game 4 of the National League Championship Series. The Cardinals won last night 8-2. It's a 2-1 lead in the series for the Mets. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific here on Fox.
You don't think life's good around here? You know, you got the Blues, you got the Cards, you got the Rams. Pretty good. You know, when you're a fan, you're just having fun. I remember in Philadelphia in the 80s, we had the Eagles, we had the Sixers and Flyers. I mean, it's a blast. You could never get enough of it all.
Jamal Anderson, 8 carries, 49 yards. Ball's at 4.5 yards away from the goal line. Terrence Mathis in motion. Jamal Anderson running strong, pushing his way in. Touchdown. Good run by Jamal Anderson. He was shoved back by Keith Lyle, and he took a little exception to it. But things settle down. And the Falcons respond with a good drive of their own, 65 yards.
Well, Anderson, you know, he's a little bit still upset about the last time they played down in Atlanta, when the team bent him back at the end of the thing and Keith Lyle came up and stripped the ball from him and took it all the way down. That's the same kind of thing almost happened there.
Morton Anderson for the extra point to tie the game. And it's right through. Jamal Anderson, 60 yards on the drive, scores the TD. Bill, you talked about the offensive line right at the top of the game.
Well, they answering the call so far, especially running the ball. Watch the rookie again, Travis Claridge. Watch him get the pull out here and hit 59, London Fletcher. Boom, right there. He gets the push and actually just carries Jamal in on his back to the end zone.
Jamal Anderson, good running. Had the screen pass for a 28-yard pickup. Morton Anderson kicks off. Game tied, just under 2 minutes to go in the first half. Tony Horn, who had a 103-yard return, trying to leap over Gerald McBurrows. And Horn goes down around the 23-yard line. Following this game, many of you will get to see the San Francisco 49ers and the Green Bay Packers. Some of you will see Philadelphia and Arizona. Coming up, second game of our doubleheader. Jeff Garcia has 15 touchdown passes this season. People in St. Louis will get to see that game.
He's tied for Kurt Warner right this very moment with the most. You know, last year, Jeff Garcia was the whipping boy for up there, you know? And now he's come back. Mooch, Steve Mariucci's done an outstanding job with that team this year.
4 wide receivers for the Rams as they go from their own 25. Warner stumble, gets rid of it to Marshall Faulk. Plenty of room up to the 40-yard line. Problem here is they can't get into just field goal territory. They don't have the field goal kicker. If you joined us late, Jeff Wilkins is injured.
And they're going no huddle.
16-yard pickup. And Kurt Warner is getting close to an NFL record. Warner throws, completes to Tony Horn, and now he has the NFL record for most passing yards in 6 games. He has surpassed Drew Bledsoe's mark.
Well, this Rams off, I mean, heck, they just keep putting up numbers all the time. They put up more numbers than Sesame Street, Sam. It's every time they're out there, it's just something else popping up.
This is some offensive powerhouse. Well, the Houston Oilers, 1961 with George Bland at quarterback. That was some team. Bill Groman, Charlie Hennigan, the wide receivers.
Billy Cannon.
Billy Cannon was the running back. They averaged 36.6, but these Rams are averaging more. And that team won the AFL championship, but scored only 10 points in the championship game.
And that guy right there, Kurt Warner, I mean, he doesn't even care. I mean, there's not the numbers, the records, the title, it doesn't mean anything to him. He's just concentrating on executing and how he can become better.
Rams have 1 timeout remaining. Everybody out of the backfield. Blitz is coming quickly outside. Marshall Faulk steps out of bounds at the 48. First down for the Rams.
You know, the one thing that you're talking to the guys about Kurt Warner and teams that have to play him and watch him. You know, I heard twice this week from 2 different coaches, one on the Rams and actually 2 on the Falcons, that they believe that that guy's the best that's ever played the game. Kurt Warner.
That's amazing.
You know, in 23 games, it's already being talked about that he's the best that ever played the position of quarterback.
That's going far, but he has been brilliant.
I don't think it's going far.
Everybody out. Warner gets time, goes deep, and it's overthrown. Trying to get it to Oz Hakeem, and he's complaining that he was interfered with. Now, you know, we were talking to some of the Falcons, and you were talking to Ray Buchanan and Ashley Ambrose. They don't believe that that's Kurt Warner in a Rams uniform, do they, Bill?
No, yeah.
Who is it?
These 2 guys are funny guys. If you get around Ray Buchanan and Ashley Ambrose, you're going to laugh. They said it may say Warner on the back of his jersey, but underneath that helmet, they believe it's Jesus. and we were laughing in there. I said, well, how do you beat Jesus? They said, there's got to be a Judas on that team someplace.
They're hoping. Hakeem in motion. Warner, quick drop, completes to Oz Hakeem. Close to a first down. Looks like they've got it. 4th catch for Oz Hakeem. 50 seconds, clock running. Rams have 1 timeout remaining. Out of the shotgun, Warner drops it off to Marshall Faulk. Cuts back at the 30. Wrestled down at the 25. Another Rams first down. Timeout. St. Louis, 34 seconds to go.
There's Semino, 53. He's going to draw Marshall Faulk as he slips through and comes out. He's got good coverage. Just make the tackle right there. He's right on him. He's just got to make the wrap up, and it's only a 3-yard gain. And that's what you expect out of it. Marshall Faulk, though, he can be a little slippery at times.
Oh, a lot slippery. The man who leads the NFL in most yards from scrimmage. This is a team that can score in a hurry.
Yeah, well, they've got 10 touchdowns in under 2 minutes of time. That's how fast that they can score. When you make a turnover, so bang, they're going to get it. They're going to get in the end zone. And right this part of the field right here, that's why they didn't hesitate to burn a timeout right here. Use their last one. Because this part of the field right here, this is where they strike from.
They have 4 wide receivers in. Faulk in the backfield. 34 seconds remaining in the first half. And flags go down. They stop the play. Looked like Adam Timmerman moved.
Yeah, the right side line. I saw a little bit of movement over there.
Prior to the snap, false start, 62, offense. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
So that sets the Rams back to the 30-yard line. Well, the Falcons were banged up coming into this game. They'd lost 3 in a row, but they have come to play. And this has been a real good one from the opening kickoff. If you missed the opening kickoff, it was returned for a touchdown.
The opening 2 kickoff.
And the second one as well. Warner completes to Oz Hakeem. Slipped one man, gets out of bounds at the 24-yard line. 27 seconds to go. 5 catches for Oz Hakeem.
You know, Mike Martz has a group of plays on his card that he carries around. It's called his shot plays. And they're the plays that he thinks that he's got a shot to take something deep and get after a team. So sometimes we get bogged down a little bit. I'll just look at the shot section, take a shot.
Well, they have to take a shot with the field goal kicker. Jeff Wilkins hurting. Flags go down again. They stop the play.
I think they got it on the Rams again. You know, the Rams have had a lot of mistakes.
False start, 62, offense.
Timmerman again.
5-yard penalty, remains second down.
And remember, they moved on the play earlier where it wasn't called, the touchdown pass.
And see, Timmerman spent too much time up on the farm in Iowa. He was up there in a bye week. He was driving around on his brother's combine, helping him do some work up there on the farm.
Back to the 29. Have to get to the 15 for a first down.
Breathing too much dust on that combine.
Everybody out. Warner being rushed. Threw it left-handed.
It was caught.
Falk caught it. Unbelievable. Falk gets out of bounds at the 18-yard line. Kurt Warner was grabbed by Brady Smith, and he turned it. He threw the ball left-handed.
You know, Patrick Kearney lost his shoe on the play. There's Kearney. Kearney was involved too.
What else can they do?
I don't think there's anything they can't do.
Now, did he do that in arena football? Is that where he learned that?
He's learned a lot someplace, I can tell you that. That ball looked like it hit the ground too.
And let's see, we're going to get a challenge from upstairs. The officials are going to rule on it.
Well, it looks like they're going to ruin it too.
Yeah, because all reviews come from the officials upstairs in the final 2 minutes of the half, final 2 minutes of the game, and in all of overtime.
Well, this one shot should show it all.
Yeah.
Umpire was looking right at it too. But how about Warner? You know, here he is wrapped up. Watch him switch arms. He switches arms and throws the thing left. That's amazing. This is the fun I'm talking about that these guys have. It's fun. It's almost like street ball. You know, they're just going to improvise and make things happen. And that's where it goes back to Mike March's theory of, you know, we don't script things. We don't script the first 15 plays or something. I want to find out what you're doing, and then we're going to do something different. And he plays his whole game like that. It's a cat and mouse game. You show me this, I'll give you that. You stop that, I'll come with this. You wrap up my right arm, I'll throw it with my left arm.
Now they wait for the official ruling from Jeff Triplett, who's checking out. Meanwhile, Kurt Warner with some words for his teammates. Jeff Triplett still looking at the play. John Baker, the punter, is working on his place kicking.
Right, they're going to have the equipment man over there practicing kicks before long. Everybody's been kicking in.
You want to go downstairs and try?
I might at halftime. We can get London Fletcher out there. I mean, he can score.
Looking for a place kicker. Well, Jeff Triplett, not certain yet that he's seen anything.
Well, you know,
got to be
what they're going to have to do.
Evidence here.
What they're going to have to do is now when they look at this, they can look at a few things. They're looking after to where they're going to spot the ball, where it was back, or by looking at this, they can take a couple things. They could go back and say, you know what? He was in the grass, but they can mark that ball at a different place. I think that's what he's looking at, is where they're going to mark the ball. Right there, they can say it's in the grass.
Well, waiting the referee's ruling. He's the only man who can rule on it. It's got to be indisputable visual evidence to overturn the ruling on the field. So let's see. The referee will have his decision for us.
After reviewing the play, the pass hit the ground and was not controlled by the receiver. Therefore, it's incomplete. Please reset the game clock to 22 seconds.
That is correct.
Third down on the 29 at the previous spot, the 29-yard line.
Yeah, that was the other thing he was looking, the time on the clock.
The time on the clock and where they had to mark the ball. That's why when they get in there, sometimes they take a long time if it's going to go back to where the prior spot of the ball was.
So they will spot it back at the 29-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 14 for the Rams. They have to get to the 15 for a first down. 22 seconds remaining first half. The game tied at 21. And the Rams do not have their place kicker, Jeff Wilkins. He was injured on the opening kickoff, strained his right quad muscle. 4 wide receivers for the Rams. Falk in the backfield with Warner. Warner steps up, being rushed and pulled down. Wow. Oh, man, one-handed
Did you
grab.
see that? That was sensational. That was Gerald McBarrows. They came with a blitz and some stunts up front. McBarrows was in as a nickel linebacker.
This is a 4th down, and the flag stopped the play.
Orlando Pace was moved in his set a little bit, and Patrick Kearney jumped.
This is quite a play by McBurrows.
Oh, heck yeah. They come with a stunt, and then it forces Warner to step up. Now watch right there. He's got his undershirt. That's not even his jersey. That was the gray undershirt underneath him. Oh, boy, there's so much going on in this game. How could you even think about doing anything, going anywhere?
Down.
If you leave for a second, you're going to miss something exciting.
The penalty was against Patrick Kearney of the Atlanta Falcons. So it's encroachment on the defense. So back the other way, 5 yards.
Dan Reeves isn't real happy about it. It's taking an awful long time to run this fourth down, isn't it?
11 seconds to go in the half. 4th and 15. They have to get to the 15 for a first down. Warner, pump fake, throws. Hakeem.
Oh,
breaks away and he scores.
Gracious.
Touchdown. Do you believe these Rams? 30-yard touchdown pass from Warner to Hakeem. And he beat 2 men on the play, Ronnie Bradford and Elijah Williams. Oh, that's a crusher for the Falcons. Hakeem having a big day.
And they've got to go for 2 again now, remember.
Yep. Oh, Dan Reeves is furious. On a 4th and 15. Hakeem breaks away and scores. He has 6 catches, 64 yards.
There's Dan Reeves wants a timeout.
Timeout. Atlanta.
They're playing 3 deep man underneath. And there's Elijah Williams. He lets Hakeem get inside of him in there. And then Ronnie Bradford, who's the safety, comes up in the middle. See right here, you got man here, and then there's the 3 deep outside. And Ronnie Bradford tries to come in and wrap him up. And Hakeem just slips by him.
Poor tackling by Bradford and the Falcons. And the Rams find another way to score. They have had 3 long drives in the game. 95, 97, and now 75 yards. And this one was in 1:53 seconds.
Well, there's 11 touchdowns under 2 minutes in. These guys can do it whenever they want.
Change of personnel. So the Falcons change 4 of their players, 5 players. Three wide receivers in. As the Rams go for 2. They're 1 for 2 on 2-point conversions. The pass broken up by Buchanan and a flag on the play. Intended for Isaac Bruce. It's going to be on Ray Buchanan.
Pass interference, 34, defense. Pass interference occurred in the end zone. The ball will be placed at the 1-yard line. Retry.
The grab on Bruce.
Well, you know what, though? I mean, heck, you've got 5 yards when he's coming on there. If the ball's at the 2 and he did that 3 yards into the end zone with a jam there, that's within 5. That ball wasn't in the air when he had his arm on him, and he wasn't past 5 yards.
I don't know. It was deep. It was deep in the end zone. From the 1-yard line, Falk bounces outside. He's got the 2-point conversion. So the penalty gives the Rams a yard. They go for it again. They put 2 more points on the board. They're 2 for 3 on 2-point conversions. And the Rams now have a 29-21 lead.
And they're so good, they don't need a kicker. They don't need a kicker. They don't need a punter. It really doesn't matter. Here's a 3 deep back here. Got man here on the guys inside. We're working on Hakeem. They never get a jam on him. How can it be 4th down and you're on the line and you don't get a jam on the receiver? That's it. It's the same rule as if you've got a Hail Mary type situation. If you're up, jam him. Don't let that guy run down the field. Don't let him get down there. And then you don't have to worry about Ronnie Bradford missing the tackle here. Hey, Elijah Williams should know better. Playing up there in that situation, 4th down, 11 seconds on the clock before half or before the end of the game. Anytime you're in a desperation situation, you've got to get a jam. If you're up there, hit them.
And look at the yardage pile up for the Rams. Don't forget, coming up, the Visa halftime report. JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris, they'll talk about this game. They'll have scores and highlights around the league. Our Fox Sports ticker has up to the second stats. It's all coming up on the Visa halftime report. 22 points in the second quarter for the Rams, who trailed 14-7 at the end of the first. Chris Thomas, the wide receiver, will kick off for the second time. Tim Dwight is back. Low line drive is grabbed by Elijah Williams. Across the 40. And brought down at the 46-yard line, and that's the end of the first half. It started with touchdown returns on the first 2 plays. A kickoff return for a touchdown by Derek Vaughn, 96 yards, answered by Tony Horn with a 103-yard kickoff return. And it didn't stop. 29-21, and these Rams continue to pile up yardage and points. And Kurt Warner continues to perform his magic. 2 more touchdown passes, giving him 16 on the season.
Anything they want to do, like you said, from the opening kickoff all the way through, and it hasn't slowed down yet. I'm expecting a lot more coming up.
We're coming back to St. Louis right after these messages. It's the Rams 29, the Falcons 21. From the 15, first possession of the second half. Jamal Anderson gets a couple, and then he's thrown back. London Fletcher was involved with several players helping out. Mike Jones was the first man to hit Jamal.
Yeah, look at the excitement on Fletcher. Mike Jones, too. You know, you get in there and you start popping, and then those bones and nerves start tingling. But that's the exciting part. The defensive players, that's what strikes them up. You know, it's that burn, it's that big smack that jolts through your body. That's the charge of this game that excites a defensive player.
Falcons go with 2 tight ends, and Kozlowski, one of them, goes in motion. Short drop. That pass was deflected. You think Grant Wistrom is excited? Wow, is he fired up?
Oh, yeah, we talked to Grant yesterday, too. And, you know, one of the things he talked about, he says, we've got to do a better job as a team. Watch Grant 98. He's the one that gets his hand up in the air and knocks that thing down. We've got to do a better job as a team of getting to the football. He said last year we'd stop the film and there'd be 6 guys around the football. He said this year there's 2.
3 wide receivers for the Falcons. They have to get to the 25 for a first down. Mathis in motion. Chandler, flag goes down. Completion to Sean Jefferson. Slip one man is across the first down marker up to the 26, but let's check out the flag. Against the Falcons. Negates what would have been a first down.
Illegal formation. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
6th penalty of the game for the Falcons. Jamal Anderson. 10 rushes, 55 yards, 2 catches, 40 yards. Chandler 9 for 13. Now he's got to come up with something big. They have to get to the 25.
There's Sean Jefferson on the sidelines. That's their deep threat guy. That's the guy they brought in for not having Tony Martin last year. They need a deep guy on him this play.
From the 12. Chandler completes it to Brian Finneran. Finneran weaving his way across the 20 and is down at the 22. Finneran, who came out of Villanova, played in NFL Europe for Barcelona, played for the Eagles briefly last year.
Here's Chandler trying to get this ball off. He gets it from everybody. All the Leonard Little's in there, Wistrom's in there.
And that's what he was afraid of, being pounded to the turf and guys landing on him.
You know, one thing he said the clock in his head is a little bit faster than it normally should be. I mean, he knows he's going to get roughed up a little bit back there. And sometimes that ball's coming out too soon. And sometimes it doesn't come out fast enough and he gets taken down.
Dan Straczynski's second punt. And Oz Hakeem with a fair catch at the 41-yard line. Rams have good field position. They have the 8-point lead and the ball when we come back. We've been talking about some of the great offensive teams down through the years. How about the '84 Dolphins with Dan Marino throwing 48 touchdown passes? Clayton with 18 touchdown catches. They averaged 32 points a game, and they went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and they lost. And when we talked about the 50s Rams, they lost in a championship game. And we talked about these teams, the Vikings, they lost. So that's why Mike Martz is so concerned about his defense, because he's going to need his defense at some point in time.
Marshall Faulk, big hole. Faulk with a nice move down to the 43 of the Falcons. Marshall Faulk. You know, we talk about Warner, we talk about the receivers. This guy puts it all together.
Well, take a look here. They're going to come with a... Watch Ryan Tucker. They get the squeeze down and say, watch it, see that? They get that seal outside. That's the power O. They got Holcomb blocking, leading the way. They got the push down with Ryan Tucker.
11 carries, 83 yards for Marshall Faulk. Two tight ends in for the Rams from the Falcons 42. The draw play to Faulk. Nothing there. Brady Smith. And with help from Patrick Kearney. Update on the Giants and Cowboys. Let's go to JB.
Hey, Sam, if Ryan Tucker was helpful in your game, take a look at Jason Tucker here for Dallas. Kickoff return of 90 yards, helping the Cowboys to set up a 2-yard pass play from Aikman to Robert Thomas. It's now 10-7 Giants, 7:59 left in the third. Back to Sam and Bill.
Cowboys watching what was going on here with those kickoff returns.
Seems to be that theme, doesn't it?
Giants, Washington, tied at the top of the division at 4-2. Eagles playing later at Arizona. They're at 3-3. Three wide receivers for the Rams. That's Oz Hakeem in motion. Warner, complete. Isaac Bruce, excuse me, that's Torrey Holt inside the 25.
Marshall Faulk.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting them all mixed up here.
You never know. They cross so much and they do everything. The Rams offense with their routes, they don't run routes where it's a curl or a hitch. There's guys coming all over the place. All their routes are go routes. So they're not go meaning down the field, but they never stop. It's the slants. Here's Marshall Faulk. Watch him come back across. See him? They're routes that never stop running. You don't see the outs. You don't see the curls. You don't see a hitch. You don't see a comeback. All the routes are always attacking because Kurt Warner will hit them on the run.
First down, Rams at the 24. Quick out to Torrey Holt. Cut it back inside. Gets inside the 15. And you know what? They spread it around. Everybody gets a piece of the action.
You think we can get some? Jesse Tuggle comes up the middle. Watch Holcomb. You talk about the team and the team concept. Watch Holcomb bang. He gets into Jesse Tuggle. And Jesse Tuggle at that time could have had a free shot on Kurt Warner. That ball came out fast on the smoke route, but it's the licks you get at Warner that count.
2nd and 1 at the 15. It's Holcomb for the first down. With power, he pulls his way down about the 12-yard line.
And they're down in that area, Sam, where, normal teams would think, we're down in here. We're going to score. We're either going to get a touchdown or we're going to get a field goal. There is no field goal equation in it anymore.
Yeah.
And when you're doing that to the Rams, that's like putting nitric oxide in a Ferrari. You just don't need to go any faster.
Here's a bad sight. Travis Hall, maybe the best defensive player on the team right now, especially on the defense line, is hurt. They lost Shane Dronette 3 weeks ago. And that hurt the defense of the Falcons. And here's Travis Hall.
And he's been supplying a lot of that pressure right up the middle. And that's how you rattle Kurt Warner, right in the face of him, right up the gut. And Travis Hall, 98, has been doing that today.
Rich Brooks, the former head coach of the Rams. He was here in 95 and 96. He's the defensive coordinator, and he's concerned about his player.
Well, he's right in the middle of this thing, right here. And in this pile, his leg looks like it's going to get caught. Ow. He gets crinkled over a little bit.
Travis Hall being checked out. We'll be right back. Travis Hall walked off to the sideline, replaced by Sean Sueda. We're told by our Pete Pearson along the sideline there may be an abdominal strain.
You know, he got bent over that pile and then slammed down on that turf. And that turf, Sam, is hard. It's one of the hardest turf fields in all of National Football League. You know, as a matter of fact, I was talking to Mike Martz about it before the game. I said, this field's something else. It's hard. He says, yeah, it's not a very good field, but it's a fast field, and we're keeping it.
1st and 10 at the 12. Isaac Bruce in motion. Warner throws it outside. Robert Holcomb inside the 5. Touchdown. There's enough to go around for everybody. And the fullback, Robert Holcomb, comes out of the backfield. 3rd touchdown pass of the game for Kurt Warner. And the Rams are over the 30-point mark for the 12th consecutive game. They're just adding to their NFL record as they pile up the points. And again, with Jeff Wilkins out, the place kicker hurt himself on the opening kickoff. The Rams going for 2. They're 2 for 3 on 2-point conversions. They have 4 wide receivers in. Falk in the backfield. Falk running. He's at the goal line. He's in. 2 points, good.
This is amazing. Absolutely amazing. If I was going to open a nightclub in town, I'd call it the Rams because everybody scores.
NFL Sunday is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. By Compaq, welcome to the new IT, inspiration technology from Compaq. By Pep Boys, cars like us, people love us. And by Nortel Networks, we're building the new high-performance internet.
On the 2-point conversion, right tackle Ryan Tucker was injured on the play.
Yeah, there's Tucker, number 50 in here. Now he gets caught up in the wash, and watch his leg right here. See it? Pull. He gets the Marshall Falk, and the whole pile lands on that thing.
And he was helped off to the Rams locker room.
Well, that's a big loss for him, too, because, you know, I think he's played well. They filled in. They lost Freddie Miller, and he came in. I actually think he's played better than what they had there last year.
Chris Thomas, left-footed. Line drive kick bounces down to Tim Dwight. Has trouble with it. Slips, goes outside. Dre Bly's got him and shoves him out of bounds. Well, this Rams team is putting up some numbers with great offense. How about one of the great offensive teams of the past? The 1967 Oakland Raiders and the Mad Bomber Darryl LaMonica. Freddie Bolitnikoff was on that team, and Billy Cannon, who we showed you earlier with the Oilers, was a running back.
Tight end. He was a tight end with the Oakland. Yeah, he was a running back in Houston, and then Blanda was there too.
And that Raider team went to the Super Bowl.
And they lost to the Green Bay Packers. This is why Mike Martz has a concern about his defense.
Now the Falcons, 16 points behind. Chandler on 1st down gets time. Intended for Terrence Mathis. Flag on the play. Mathis still had his back turned when the pass was thrown, but the penalty is going to be against the Rams.
Pass interference, 41 defense.
It's on Todd Light.
You got to keep those hands. Watch where the hands are, right inside. On his collar, he's got him tied up. Why the ball's thrown? See, he was inside of 5 yards there, Sam, and he could have the right to that jam. But when that ball is in the air, he can't have his hands on it.
1st down, Falcons at the 30. They need something here to stay in the game. Delay to Jamal Anderson. He's tripped up, got about 2 on the play. Sean Jefferson is on the sideline for the Falcons. Re-aggravated a back problem. Tim Dwight is in for him. What's the plan for the Falcons here to try and get back in the game?
Well, you know, they're not going to air it out because that's not the style of ball they play. They've got to stay with what they do, and they've got to get more yards on first down if they're going to run the ball. You know, 2 yards on first down puts them in a bad situation. Second and long, and then that can transpire very quickly into third and long, and that's where they're not successful.
Chandler gets time. And the ball is dropped by Terrence Mathis. And you can't have something like that. Lorenzo Styles was near Mathis. That ball should have been caught.
And then there's the situation we're talking about, third and long now. I mean,
Chandler gets plenty of time.
A good throw. And a situation where Terrence Mathis has to make that catch. Absolutely has to make that catch. And then you get yards after the catch. He was on the run there.
Jamie German, number 87, is in. 3 wide receivers, the Falcons on 3rd and 8. Here's the blitz. Mike Jones takes him down. First sack of the game for the Rams. They're 19th of the season.
Yeah, and it's a third down. And the Rams, that's their... For the Falcons, that's their area where they struggle. Here's Mike Jones. Bob Christian has to be able to see that right off the bat. He can't be the flare guy. He's got to be able to see that coming. Somebody's got to pick up Mike Jones.
Second sack of the season for Mike Jones. Dan Straczynski's 3rd punt of the game. Oz Hakeem is deep. Good kick. Hakeem backs up to the 24. Avoids one man and another. Picks up a couple of blocks. Flag on the play. Great return for Oz Hakeem. Tries to beat Straczynski. Tiptoes the sideline. He stepped out of bounds, but there's a flag all the way back at the Rams' 25-yard line. And I think Todd Light is going to get called for a penalty here.
Block in the back.
Yep. You got it. 51-yard punt. A good one by Straczynski. Great return by Hakeem.
Heck, you know, that doesn't bother the Rams. That was just a little exercise period for him right there.
Eagle bot in the back. 41 return team.
Say that again.
10-yard penalty. First down.
Sometimes you get tongue-tied in front of 65,000 people.
You don't have to tell me about it. That happens to me regularly.
Todd Light, penalty, negates the return. Those of you in St. Louis will see the 49ers with Jeff Garcia and Brett Favre and the Packers. Marshall Faulk breaks through the hole, spins away, and here he goes. They chase him out of bounds. Buchanan and Tuggle chased Marshall Faulk. He went out at the 44. He picked up 29 on the play, and he's over 100 yards.
And the Rams came out, and they went right at where Hall would have been. Watch in here. Down block, lead up on the backer. That's right where Travis Hall normally plays. They come in there, they get the double down with Timmerman, they block the end outside and lead up with Holcomb. That makes it look simple. They will attack you and expose you where your weaknesses are. They'll find out where they're at, and they'll get you.
Cameron Spikes is in at right tackle, replacing the injured Ryan Tucker. Screen pass dropped by Marshall Faulk. First mistake he's made all day. Let's check in with the Cowboys and the Giants.
13, Dallas back to Sam and Bill.
From one of the greats, JB, watching the other great, Emmitt Smith. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. Emmitt Smith, congratulations to him and the Cowboys. Nice comeback in that game.
Sam, stop lying.
I got to give him credit.
Hey, you're the biggest New York Giants fan going.
All right, so they stuck a dagger in my ribs, you know. Warner on second down. Gets time. He's got it. Torrey Holt out of bounds at the 28-yard line.
Man, oh, man.
They do it all. Warner getting closer to another 300-yard passing game.
You know, Holt, a guy that really hasn't been in the mix that much this whole game, but they're going to find a way. Here he is working on Buchanan, and see him settle down in the zone. You know, they got a little zone in there, and he'll work his way to the hole. And talking with Kurt Warner on Saturday, that's what he said. I said, how do you throw the ball to these guys all the time when they're just running their routes? Where do you lead? He says, I throw to the holes. He says, I don't focus in on one thing. Wherever the holes are in the zones or the defense, I'll throw to that area. I know my guys will get there.
Empty backfield. And he still has time, and he's got an open man, but they misread each other. Isaac Bruce was wide open, but Bruce turned in. The pass went out, and it falls incomplete. Mike Martz is unhappy.
Yeah, and Warner is too. They got in that bunch formation, you know, that causes so much, just confliction for a defense. Here they are over here. Here's the bunch group. Now, these three guys got to handle them, and the safety's going to come in over the back over here. But watch what they do. The inside guy goes out. The middle guy goes here. Then there's Isaac Bruce all alone.
And the pass going wide. Rams are over 400 yards total offense in the game.
Blitz.
Warner hit as he throws.
He took a shot, too.
Way overthrown. And he gets up. He's a tough guy. Ronnie Bradford and Ray Buchanan. Ray Buchanan covered Isaac Bruce on the play. Ronnie Bradford on the blitz with the hit.
Yeah, and he got a pretty good shot on Kurt, too. His arms were up. Bang. You know, and talking to defensive coordinators that have to prepare for Kurt Warner, you know, the philosophy always is, well, what do you do to a high-powered offense? Well, knock the trigger man around. That's the way. That's the mentality of the NFL. Get to him, blitz him, rattle his cage, hit him. But hitting and rattling doesn't affect Kurt Warner.
On third down, being rushed, and the pass is off the hands of Torrey Holt, incomplete. Travis Hall, who's back in the game, had the hit on Kurt Warner after he threw. And that's the good news for the Falcons, that Travis Hall was okay.
And no field goal kicker.
They have no place kicker, so they're going for it.
Heck, like I said, that's the worst thing you can do to this Rams team. Give them 4 downs to compete. I mean, normally you think, go ahead, send the kicker out. We'll get 3 out of it. No big deal. Now you're putting them in a situation where they get another down, and they are so potent.
They find the way. They need to get to the 18 for a first down. 3 wide receivers in for the Rams. Under pressure, Warner steps up, and they got him. 3rd sack of the game for the Falcons. And the ball is turned over on downs. Patrick Kearney, Travis Hall, and Sean Swada, 3 of the front 4 in on the sack. Hey, you know it's already a hit show? James Cameron's Dark Angel. Tuesday at 9, 8 Central. After all, new episodes of That 70s Show and Titus on Fox. Good reviews. It's a hit. Dark Angel on Fox Tuesday.
Well, all due respect to James Cameron.
Yes.
I think she's the hit.
Maurice Smith, number 43, is in the backfield for the Falcons as they go 1st and 10. Chandler sends everybody out. Pass complete to Terrence Mathis, and it looks like he's got enough for a first down. Falcons still going without Sean Jefferson, who's out with a back problem.
And the Falcons getting a little 3 wide of their own, too. They got in that bunch group over there.
Nice catch by Mathis.
Trying to bounce back from that drop pass he had in the last series. You know, I'd like to say this about the Rams, you know, and they have been rusty today. Now, when they go back and watch this tape, they'll see plenty of things that they've done that they haven't been sharp at doing. But can you imagine not being sharp and having over 400 yards of offense and 37 points? You know, that's scary.
Next week they go to Kansas City, and they expect to be sharper. Well, this is a team, it's still early in the season, but people are talking about the possibilities of the Rams running the table and going undefeated all season long, which is just so tough to do in today's game.
You know, and they have the mentality, the makeup of the team, the structure of this team, and the professionalism of all its players. They have that mentality and capability. It wouldn't shock me if they did.
First down, Falcons at the 43. Jamal Anderson is back in. On the draw play.
Nice cut.
Good run by Jamal up to the 49. Pickup of about got 5. They'll spot it just across the 48-yard line. Jeff Sconina made the tackle.
You know, pretty good cutting here by Jamal Anderson. As this thing gets bunched up, watch, he's going to make London Fletcher miss. So here's Fletcher. He's going to come out and watch him take it, and bang, he takes it back up the other way. You know, that's a veteran running back, knowing his limitations with his legs and the injury and what he's doing, and letting the defense commit and then coming back off of it.
Last week, 12 carries, 12 yards. This week, 12 carries, 63 yards. Anderson again. Just across midfield, he's ridden down about the 49-yard line. Mike Jones leading the charge, number 52 for the Rams.
Jones was in there. Fletcher was in there. Watch Fletch. Fletch, he's a small guy. You know, he's not very tall. Watch him weed his way through. See him weed his way through there? And that's like a little Tasmanian devil. He's in there. You can't even see him. If you're Jamal Anderson, you're running, and you can't even see him. You see your offensive linemen's up high, and then there's defensive linemen, there's bodies. And here this guy, London Fletcher, just works his way through everything, comes up with a big tackle.
3rd and a short 2. Have to get to the 47 for a first down. Chandler throwing. He's rushed. In trouble. Down he goes.
Get rid of the ball.
Sean Moran with the 2nd sack of the day for the Rams, as the defense has played better in the second half.
Yes, they have. And I think in particular the 2 tackles inside have really stepped their game up. There's Galen Hyder. He pushed the pocket, and Moran was working on the outside.
Former Buffalo Bill Sean Moran.
Fernando Smith was in there too, the newly acquired Fernando Smith.
Former Minnesota Viking. Good high kick by Straczynski. Fair catch, wave 4 by Oz Hakeem, and he takes it at the 12-yard line. Was bumped after the whistle, but that was Derek Vaughn trying to stop. No flag on the play. 45-yard punt. Well, talk about some of the great offenses of the past. Joe Theismann, John Riggins, and the 83 Redskins. They could run it. They could throw it. They could catch it. That team could score. And they went to the Super Bowl.
A Super Bowl. Against the Raiders.
33.8 points. But these Rams have even more. What a lineup that was.
So you kind of gathering a theme with these high-powered offense. The 50 Rams, the 98 Minnesota Vikings, the 84 Dolphins.
They go a long way.
And they put up a lot of points. But they all failed in the championship.
They don't win the big one.
Well, that's why Mike Martz, I believe, is so concerned with the defense.
Rams go from the 12-yard line. That's Cameron Spikes at right tackle, replacing the injured Ryan Tucker, who will not return. Falk cuts it upfield. Got about 3 on the play. X-rays on Ryan Tucker were negative. He's got an injured left ankle, but will not return. 2-yard pickup on the play.
There's Steve Everett.
Backup center.
Yeah, the free agent acquisition. He was Philadelphia. He was with Philadelphia for a long time. When they lost Gruda Doria at center in the offseason, they had a scramble to try to get a center. They got Everett, and then Everett was replaced by Andy McCollum.
End of the 3rd quarter. Rams put 8 more points on the board and lead 37-21. Back in St. Louis, the Rams have a lot of offensive weapons and offensive coaches. 2 offensive line coaches.
2 of them, that's right. Jimmy Hannafin on the left. And Jimmy handles all the technique with the guys. John Matsko, he spends his whole week going over protections. Remember we talked about this offensive line group has 37 protections?
Warner on 2nd down. Swings it out to Marshall Falk. Semino took him down up close to the 20-yard line. 38 plays, blitzed 20 times, 3 sacks on Kurt Warner.
But, you know, Mike Martz has the foresight to know that his system is complex. And for all this motion and shifting and all these things to happen, You know, that's the big thing you talk about when you talk to other teams. They say all the motion and shifting. See, now the defenses move around. When you have all this tight end to one side and the other, your strength changes, so your defense moves. And so then it's hard to pick up all the different protections.
On third down, 3 wide receivers in. Falk with a catch, and he's got enough for the first down. Good effort. Ronnie Bradford tried to stop him, couldn't do it. Marshall Falk, great receiver, great runner, great player.
Just great. You know, again, I'll go back and say, for a 2nd and a 5, 5th round draft choice, the ball was out of his hands, bobbling. He almost broke the tackle of Bradford right there and took it. And what he is to this offense is what Chris Carter is to the whole team. I'll say that for the team. What Marshall Falk is to the Rams team is what Chris Carter is to the Minnesota Vikings. It's that kind of leadership. It's that kind of professionalism that he brings to not only that, but all the young guys. He's a teacher.
Draw play to Falk. A big hole and a big carry. Up to the 45-yard line. Now it's Marshall Falk taking over. He's caught 7 passes for 78 yards. He has rushed for well over 100 yards.
And remember, this guy is a guy that came to a 4-12 team. You know, things weren't looking real good. And he came out of Indianapolis, which was amazing, with a kind of a bad rap about him. That maybe he wasn't a team guy, that he wasn't in it for everything else. Maybe his frustrations of just not winning there at that time were some of the things that bothered him, because what he is here is a guy that's been through that humbled stage of his life in his career, and he's carrying everything on. He appreciates every play.
Season high 134 yards rushing for Marshall Falk. Justin Watson is in, number 33. He gets up to the 49-yard line. On the sideline just moments ago, here's what our cameras picked up. That's Pete Junta, the defensive coordinator, working with his defense, pulling them all together, getting some spirit.
Getting them rallied up. You know what he just promised them? He promised them cake. See,
that's right.
Every Wednesday when they win, his wife makes a chocolate cake and a vanilla cake. And Wednesday they come in the morning and they sit there, and DeMarco Farr brings the milk. And they have cake and they eat cake and they have milk.
That's pretty good. You want to go to those?
I might come in Wednesday.
I think so. Warner sends everybody out. Outside of Marshall Falk. There's a flag on the play. Good pickup, but this may be brought back. Going to be on the Rams at the line of scrimmage.
You know what they're going to have the illegal chop block. Yeah, see.
Ooh, and
there's
Sean Swayder shaking up on the play.
A lot of times when you get by an offensive lineman, a back.
Chop block. Offense, number 67. 15 yards. Repeat, 2nd down.
A back or another lineman will come and at the last second kind of dive at the legs, when the initial lineman who had already missed the block is trying to fight back. So it ends up, it looks like somebody's getting high load.
Look who just dropped in on us here. The former coach of the Rams. Are you having a good time?
I didn't drop in. You called me in.
Oh, well, you know, we like to get your input. Yeah. Hey, it's nice to see you.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Are you enjoying retirement?
Yeah, I am. I'm not retired, but I'm enjoying myself.
Well, you're retired from
coaching. I'm just not coaching. Yeah. I'm coaching today. I called all the good plays.
Did all the good ones?
I called the kickoff return.
Do you miss the game?
Oh, yeah. I miss the players, the coaches, my management staff. I miss that relationship and competition and the feeling you gain being together. You know, you know that, Bill.
Is it hard to watch these guys, the guys you were just down there with last year?
No, it's not hard at all.
Here's Warner dropping it off to Justin Watson. Spins and is brought down around the 37. Time for an update on the Cowboys and the Giants. Let's go back to JB.
Hey, Sam, tell Bill what is hard is watching Troy Aikman today as he throws his 5th pick of the game against the Giants, 10th against the Giants in the last 4 games at the Meadowlands, most ever in his career, that 5. And Ron Dane capitalizes with the touchdown run, 2-point conversion, no good, 19-14 Giants, 9:23 left in the game. Back to Sam and Bill.
And Dick Vermeil. And Dick, tell us what you think of this offense that Mike Martz has put together.
Well, it was spectacular last year. I think it's better this year in that they're a year into it. Kurt Warner is a seasoned, better experienced in the scheme. I think Mike now better realizes what all the talent that he has, what they can do, and he takes advantages of it.
And that one is picked off by Ray Buchanan. Uh-oh. Didn't want to give him any bad luck there.
Hey, you know, you're going to make a play,
Tell me
a mistake once in a while.
You're right. Well, we're going to get into Kurt Warner in a minute. Here's that pick.
Yeah, what he didn't see Ray Buchanan on the sidelines. And what he saw was an open receiver. Buchanan comes off the sidelines.
8th interception on Kurt Warner this season. Falcons still within striking distance, go from their own 47. Christian in motion. Chandler gets pressured, dumps it off to Jamal Anderson. With room to run, he's upended inside the 40 at the 38-yard line. Dick, what about the Rams defense? What do you make of what's been going on? Are they in trouble?
No, I don't think they're in trouble. They've been injured. You know, right now, as I watch, those 2 starting defensive tackles are not even uniform. And regardless of how good you are, you can't take your best players out of the lineup and compete as you were when they were all healthy. And Devin Bush is just back at strong safety now, and that helps. But they haven't been able to keep that defense healthy all at the same time.
First down Falcons at the 38 after a 15-yard pickup.
Yeah, Kozlowski at the far end there jumped off the sides a little bit.
Crowd got real loud.
Oh, you see, he was wide open on the last play. Kozlowski was running down the seam wide open, saying he came back and told Chandler he was open. They probably wanted to call that same play again. A lot of times guys get real excited when their number's called.
There's one of the injured guys you're talking about, DeMarco Farr. They miss him.
Oh, yeah, not only physically, but emotionally. He's a fine leader, and Ray Agnew right next to him right there. They're both outstanding people, and they're also outstanding football players.
Dick Vermeil has joined us in the booth here in the 4th quarter. The play fake by Chandler. Sideline overthrows Terrence Mathis.
And Dick, as you talked about earlier too, Peter Junta's called your defenses for 2 years while you were with them, all the way through the Super Bowl.
All the way through the playoffs, all the way through the Super Bowl. And, you know, and I think sometimes you can almost lose an emotional edge. Bill, you can remember this. You got a great offensive team. It takes a little pressure off the defense. Maybe you lose a little edge of intensity.
Second down. Crowd trying to give the defense some intensity. Jamal Anderson runs into a wall. Rams defense has done a good job here in the second half.
Yeah, they sure have, Sam, and I think you're right. And I think the big area has been in the middle. Skonina and Galen Hyder in his first active game. Watch Hyder. Hyder 94 is going to be the one that stuffs this whole thing up. They're trying to run the draw here. But watch him. See him sit on this? Now watch him sit back inside. And that's enough to create a pile in there. It wasn't picture perfect as a play, but it did create a pile.
Maurice Smith, number 43 in the backfield now for the Falcons, who have to get to the 28 for a first down. Chandler gets time. Looking for Mathis, and he overthrew him again. A couple of bad passes by Chris Chandler. That's surprising.
Well, he's normally very accurate throwing that ball downfield. You know, he's got a lot of experience.
You know, and he didn't practice all week, and I think that takes a toll. Anytime a player doesn't get the opportunity to practice during the week. Plus, he's been knocked to the ground a few times here, too.
Yeah,
there's no telling if those ribs may be hurting through his motion.
Well, they didn't get pressure that time, too, Billy, because they kept the wing back in and the blocking back in, so they were protecting with 8 people. You know.
Dick, is this Rams offense one of the best you've ever seen?
It is the best I've ever seen.
There you go.
It's extremely well coached. The scheme is good. And Mike Martz is tremendous game day calling the offense.
Great punt coverage by Elijah Williams. The Rams are tucked down at the 3-yard line. We'll be right back. Back in St. Louis with the Rams leading the Falcons 37-21, and here with the former coach, the Super Bowl champion, Coach Dick Vermeil. Dick, Kurt Warner is one of the great football stories in recent years. What was it about him that you saw after Trent Green went down that gave you the confidence that he could take over and be the #1 guy?
Well, first off, we saw it before Trent Green went down to make him our backup quarterback.
On first down, Marshall Falk up around the 9-yard line, picked up about 5 on the play. Go ahead.
Well, he could throw the ball accurately against our defense. He really did a good job throwing it off cards, running the opponent offense, and he threw it accurately. In fact, he was the MVP offensive scout team player as voted by the defense. The next year he's MVP in the league. But you could see he could do that. What you couldn't see is how well he would play under pressure. What he proved to us is he could play better under pressure than he played on the practice field. And the game slows down for him on Sunday, and I've never been around anybody like him.
It's an amazing story. If Trent Green doesn't go down, we may never heard of Kurt Warner.
But Trent Green would have been very, very successful too, but we would not have heard of Kurt Warner, no question.
Marshall Falk. Yeah, that was a pretty good acquisition. Marshall Falk. Look at the numbers for the Rams 2 weeks ago before the bye. And in this game, they put up over 1,000 yards on offense, 94 points. That's the game against San Diego.
Over 600 against San Diego, over 400 today.
Well, I don't think you can stop them. The design, the team, the talent, the coaching, the confidence that they have, and then the guy that pulls the trigger, Kurt Warner. When he has them open, he normally hits them.
Third and a long yard for the Rams. The toss to Falk, and the Falcons are there. He comes up short of the first down. And the Rams will be forced to punt.
I would like to go back and try to remember the last time I saw the Rams offense run 3 running plays in a row. There wasn't that just 3 runs we saw?
That's right.
I don't know if that's happened yet this year. Heck, they opened up the San Diego game with 19 passes. I know that run wasn't in there anywhere.
Someone will say Coach March is getting conservative.
Oh, it could be.
That'll be the headlines, right?
John Baker working overtime today. 3 punts. Tim Dwight is deep for Atlanta. Falcons should get the ball in good field position with 6:20 remaining. There comes Dwight on the run. Let it go for Winslow Oliver. And he's pulled down immediately at the 49-yard line in Rams territory. So let's see what the Falcons can do. Dick Vermeil, great to see you. Continued good luck.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Thank you.
Magazine calls Dark Angel hellaciously fun.
What's your name, Dollface?
An all-new Dark Angel at 9/8 Central Fox Tuesday.
Football and baseball still to come on Fox following this game. The 49ers and the Packers in Green Bay. And then it's Game 4 of the National League Championship Series. Mets and Cardinals. Darryl Kyle for the Cardinals. Bobby J. Jones for the Mets. He pitched a one-hitter his last time out. And that series 2-1 in favor of the Mets. If there's a Game 6, it'll be back in St. Louis Wednesday night. Game 5 will be tomorrow night on Fox.
There it is.
Chandler for Tim Dwight, just off his fingertips. He beat Todd Light on the play, just missed being a big play for the Falcons.
Well, they got the man-to-man on Todd Light, which they wanted with the motion, and
how close.
Right off the fingertips. And that over-the-shoulder catch is the hardest catch to make.
Dwight playing with the injured ribs and the flak jacket. Jamie German is in. 3 wide receivers for the Falcons on 2nd and 10. Christian in motion. Falcons need to score. Too far. He just threw it up for grabs, and a flag goes in.
They're going to call him on that. They're going to call him on the trip. It just looked like their feet got tangled just in the process of things. Looked like just your normal incidental contact.
Maybe Dre Bly on this play. Let's see.
Pass interference. 32 defense.
Dre Bly.
Automatic first down.
Here it is, right in here.
Yeah. A little bit. Slowed him down. Got him off balance. Dre Bly is called for the interference. Gives the Falcons a first down at the Rams 43. Tim Dwight in motion. Chandler throws for Dwight. He's got it. There's a flag down in the secondary of the Rams. And it's against St. Louis. Holding call. But they got enough on the pass completion for a first down as Mike Martz looks on. And the Falcons move deep into Rams territory.
Holding 41 defense. Penalty is declined. The result of the play, the first down.
Todd Light has not had a good game today.
Heck no. He's had holding calls. He's had pass interference calls. He had the penalty on the punt, the illegal block in the back. That's a guy that missed all of training camp in a contract dispute. Didn't get any of the work, then came in and had the turf toe. He struggled this year.
Jamal Anderson motions outside and sets. Chandler throwing for Terrence Mathis and overthrows him again.
That's another. We got two players down.
Oh boy.
We have a Ram player down.
Galen Hyder. And it looks like Travis Claridge, the right tackle. Yeah, Claridge for the Falcons. Shaken up on the play, having trouble getting up. And Galen Hyder, who's making his first NFL start, is down. And neither team can afford to lose either player.
Oh, here's Hyder right here, 94. They both kind of got rolled up, it looked like.
Claridge trying to get up. He's been on all fours a couple of times, but he just can't put any weight on that leg. Travis Claridge, one of two rookies who'd been starting for the Falcons, but they lost Michael Thompson last week when early in the game against the Giants he tore an Achilles tendon and has undergone surgery. We'll step out for a moment. The changes on the defensive line have held up for the Rams. Gonita has been solid. Hyder in his first NFL start has done well. Young has not seen action. But now on the sideline is Galen Hyder being checked out, the right knee.
Yeah, you know, they really answered the call, especially after halftime. I think they gave up their 61 yards total, but 58 of those yards came before the halftime. And they were attacked early there. But the second half, they really tightened the screws down on it.
Leonard Little, number 57, has moved in as a down lineman on the left side.
That's their nickel package. Yeah. He's rushing.
Chandler under pressure, throws over the middle. He's got a man. It's knocked down.
He's underthrown too. Tim White was wide open.
Dre Bly makes a terrific play. He did have a man behind him, but Bly was there to knock it down. And Chandler has been a little bit off on some of his passes today.
Yeah, and I think that has to do with the injury and missing all that time. Because he's had some time. He's got time on this pass right here. That ball's just thrown short.
They've got to get to the 22 for a first down.
Third and forever. They haven't been real good on third downs today. Or for the year.
Chandler fires, and it's knocked down. Pass interference.
Yep.
Dexter McLeon, number 21. He reached over the back.
Well, where was his hand? If his arm was around his hip, or he came through the back of him, that's when the flag should come out.
That's going to give the Falcons a first down. Rams are upset with a call.
Now see, if his arm is around the back of his waist in a hooking motion, then the flag will come out. Let's take a look. I don't know. I don't know about that. I questioned that other call that they got up there too on Dre Bly before. Yeah, they're called, so it is pass interference, but I think it's been funny how the pass interference has been called this game. We've seen different versions of it.
Travis Claridge is back in for the Falcons at right guard. Todd McClure had come in for a couple of plays. So good news for the Falcons. They've got a first down at the Rams 17.
I don't know if you can play it much better than Dexter McLean just played that.
3 wide receivers for the Falcons. Chandler. Down he goes. Grant Wistrom. 3rd sack of the game for the Rams. Wistrom had 2.5 against the Falcons in their first meeting.
You know, a lot of this has to do with watch the jump he gets on the ball. Wistrom is at the top right of the screen. See, Bob Whitfield had to look inside. The Falcons are going on a silent snap count. So Bob Whitfield has to turn his head all the way inside to the center and look to see his head go up and then back down. And when it comes back down, that's when he snaps the ball. Watch Whitfield's head. See, he's got to look inside to the ball. And that gives the advantage to Wistrom.
On second down from the 25, outside to Bob Christian. And he's out of bounds at the 16-yard line. Grant Wistrom, important man on the defense for the Rams.
Well, you know, there's a lot of guys that give effort, but there are only a few guys that can play bigger than their body through the whole game. When he is in the game, he does not take it down off. He gives you everything and more that can possibly come from within him. Heck, he played the whole Super Bowl with a shoulder injury that his arm was just dangling. It was detached.
Falcons have to get to the 7-yard line for a first down. It's 3rd and 9. Chandler to the end zone. Overthrows Jamie German. And that's been the story of the second half. Chandler has overthrown Mathis several times. He overthrew German there.
And it's 4th down, you go for it. I mean, what the heck?
4:32 remaining.
Maybe the Rams have started a new trend. They got another guy open here, too. That ball was just thrown over his head.
And now the Falcons call timeout to talk it over. Big play for them. Falcons' record when Chris Chandler has started and finished a game has been outstanding. 23-11 since he joined them. But in this game, they are behind by 16, and they must come up with something right here. Well, we talked about great offensive teams of the past. Let's take you back to the 1941 Chicago Bears. They won 73-0 in the championship in 1940. The next year, they were even better, led by the quarterbacking of Sid Luckman. The 41 Chicago Bears averaged 36 points a game, but still not as much as this year's Rams.
You know, Sid Luckman is the all-time Bears passing leader, still to this day.
Well, we took a look at the 7 greatest offensive teams in NFL history. But these Rams have put up 450 yards and 37 points today. And now the Falcons, 4th and 9. They're 1 for 6 on 4th downs this season. Anderson goes far to the left side. Everybody out.
Tim Dwight in the corner.
Open man, he's got a touchdown. What a catch by Tim Dwight.
He had to go up and get that.
That was a good throw, but a real solid throw. I thought a hard pass, but a good one by Chandler. Dwight's a little guy, you know. That's why he had to go up. So now the Falcons are down by 10, and they need a 2-point conversion. First points of the second half for the Atlanta Falcons. It's 37-27, and the Falcons go for 2.
Maybe the Rams have started a trend.
3 wide receivers. Kozlowski tight right end. Everybody out. Chandler tied.
Hey, you can't do that to Kozlowski. You can't do that. That's pass interference.
What'd they do?
Because Kozlowski's my guy. Hey, look, you can't do that to Koz.
They held him.
Oh, they mugged him. You kidding me? Call the police.
So the Falcons will try again.
Holding defense, number 59. Half the distance. Retry.
Here's Koz. And watch Koz try to get off and watch what happens. Everybody.
They called it on London Fletcher, but I thought it was right there on Devin Bush. Well, now the Falcons try from the 1-yard line. Kozlowski in motion. Jamal Anderson to the goal line. He's in. 2 points for the Atlanta Falcons. It's an 8-point game. So Jamal Anderson with some words for London Fletcher. And the Falcons march in.
Here's Tim Dwight. He's in the slot. And what they get, see, they take Jones and put him out on the backer, and they bring right in here, they bring the corner in. That's Dre Bly, but Dre Bly lets Dwight go a little too early. He releases him to Bush in the zone, but he should carry him deeper. There was nobody underneath for Dre Bly to jump up on. He should have carried Dwight all the way to Bush.
Great catch by Tim Dwight, and here's the two-point conversion. Jamal Anderson
from the 1 yard line. And see the big gaps they got here and here? That's where they attacked them too.
And Jamal with some power pushes his way in. Now the Rams huddling up on the near side as you look at Tim Dwight.
You know what's, I'm sorry, Sam. You know what's amazing though?
Yeah.
Hey, the Falcons offense only has about 213 yards of total offense, and they're almost up near 30 points. That's pretty doggone good.
Rams are expecting an onside kick. Morton Anderson. In their previous meeting, the Falcons recovered an onside kick early in the game. Rams have their hands guys up there.
That little pooch kick, you try to drop it right over that front line. Drop it right over him.
No, he kicks it long. Bounces. Tony Horn takes it at the 10. Falcons have him surrounded and bring him down at the 20-yard line. Well, there's plenty of time.
Well, you know why? Because in 4 minutes you want to kick it away, Sam. Do you know why you want to do that? Because field position. Now, if you can force them to punt somehow, some way, you're going to get the field swing in your favor. If you onside it or you pooch kick it, then you're giving the Rams a short field. They don't want to give up any more points.
Well, you're asking a lot from your defense. Emmy Award-winning David Kelly, creator of The Practice, and Ally McBeal, brings you his newest series, Boston Public. It's coming at you next Monday at 8, 7 Central, followed by the season premiere of Ally McBeal right here on Fox.
What do you think? You think they'll call off the dogs?
No. 8-point game. Ooh, Warner almost dropped the ball. The pass outside is complete. And out of bounds goes Torrey Holt. Kurt Warner's over 300 yards passing.
Watch the snap. You see Kurt Warner's left hand. You see how much that opened up when he came out from under center there? He dropped his left hand as that snap was coming out. And again, he moved before the ball was snapped.
Tied Steve Young's record for most consecutive 300-yard passing games, 6 straight. Steve Young did that in 1998. Ball to 35, the toss to Marshall Faulk. He turns the corner. Big day for Marshall Faulk. And the offense starts to roll. Ashley Ambrose with a tackle. But Faulk takes it up to midfield.
You know, a lot of people always ask the question, well, if the Rams didn't have all those wideouts, could they line up and run the ball? And this ought to be your answer. This guy doesn't get enough credit as a dominating running back because he's in an offense in which he lines up a lot of times at wide receiver or he's catching the ball out of the backfield on routes, but lining up in a pure eye back, he's as good as anybody.
Season high 158 yards rushing. James Hodgins, number 42, is in at fullback. Ball at the Falcons 46. Faulk gets through the hole down to the 43. Ronnie Bradford on the tackle, and the Falcons call timeout.
Timeout, Atlanta. Their second charge timeout. It's a 30-second timeout.
Faulk runs inside, he runs outside.
He can do just about anything. You know, and the thing about it is, you know, as great as a career as he had at Indianapolis before he got here, I barely remember all any things he did at Indianapolis. You know, they got to the AFC Championship game, and of course, you know, they had a pretty good team there, but it's still hard for me to remember because they have him doing so many things on this team. They use him a lot more as a receiver in this offense, as a wide receiver splitting out, really pressuring the defense.
Second game of our doubleheaders coming up. Pat Summerall, John Madden in Green Bay to bring you the 49ers and the Packers. That follows the conclusion of this game. And don't forget tonight, Game 4 of the National League Championship Series, Cardinals and Mets, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Marshall Faulk, 20 carries, 165 yards, carries again. And a lot more. Takes it outside, inside the 20 before he's finally pulled down by Marty Carter and Ashley Ambrose.
It's amazing watching these guys play, honestly. They do what they want. This isn't a bad Atlanta defense. The teams they play, San Diego Chargers, aren't a bad defense. Heck, they were one in the top 10. They were number 1 2 years ago. This offense is just amazing. They can hit you with anything. They change gears on the fly. They'll go from an all wide-out team to a power I team. They'll go to a double tight end. It doesn't matter. And they do everything so well.
189 yards rushing. The season high was 201 by Deuce Staley against the Dallas Cowboys. Faulk goes outside. And
amazing.
He's inside the 15 to the 13.
You think a 4-minute back, you think of Jerome Bettis, you think of Ron Dane, you think of somebody that when there's 4 minutes left to go and you have the lead, you chew up the clock. Marshall Faulk is all of that.
The Falcons have used all their timeouts. The Rams, after the deep kickoff, got the ball at the 21-yard line, and they have come down to the Falcons 13, chewed up 2 minutes of playing time. And the Falcons desperate to stop them, but right now the Rams have got it back in high gear. So Faulk with 195 yards rushing. Look at the offense today, 516 yards.
They're averaging 500 yards in a game.
And besides his rushing, let's not forget that he's also been one of the top receivers in the game for the Rams.
Did you ever have one of those hats?
No, huh? 78 yards receiving for Marshall Faulk in the game. Here's Faulk on the delay. Down around the 11-yard line. Patrick Kearney, number 97, with the tackle. This will bring up a 3rd down play as we come down to the 2-minute warning. The Falcons are out of timeouts.
We have another injury on the field.
2-minute warning.
Marshall Faulk has 275 total yards. That's Adam Timmerman, the right guard. The Rams have already lost right tackle Ryan Tucker to an ankle injury. Back with the final 2 minutes in a moment. Back in St. Louis, Adam Timmerman limped off, right leg injury. Marshall Faulk with a career-high 197 yards rushing, slips a tackle, bursts forward inside the 5, and finally wrestled down at the 3. And this is a season-high rushing in the NFL. What a game for Marshall Faulk.
I want you to watch the air brakes he puts on. Here comes Jesse Tuggle. Watch him, Phil. Now watch Faulk. You talk about making a guy. That's unbelievable.
2, 3, 4. Four missed tackles.
He's running full speed downhill into the line. Here comes Jesse Tuggle, who has a beat on him, a direct shot, and it's just the slightest little wiggle, and he's by him.
205 yards rushing, season high in the NFL by Marshall Faulk, and a career high for him. Faulk again, he goes in, touchdown.
From the time they got the ball with 4 minutes left, every play has been to Marshall Faulk.
Big blocks provided by Robert Holcomb, Jeff Robinson, and Roland Williams.
And they've got to go for 2.
That's right.
You know what? What the heck? Let Chris Thomas try to kick an extra point.
Nope. Marshall Faulk, 7 carries, 65 yards on the drive. What a performance. He leads the NFL in combined yardage, came in with 797, over 200 yards rushing, and 78 yards receiving. 2-point try with Justin Watson and James Hodgins in the backfield. The play fake. Warner looking, throwing, complete. It's good.
Roland Williams.
They do it again. The tight end, Roland Williams, with the catch for the two-point conversion. The third successful two-point conversion of the game for the Rams.
Talk about coming into a game and feeling inferior. They do what they want, when they want, and how they want to do it.
Wow. Marshall Faulk, 208 yards rushing. And for the Rams, they're over 40 points for the fourth consecutive game and for the fifth time in 6 games this season. They just pile it up. Today was Marshall Faulk Day. Even though Kurt Warner passed for over 300 yards, this day belongs to Marshall Faulk.
Well, they're right on pace with everything. You know, yards per game, they're right along their average. 550 yards today. Their average is 505. You saw the points per game. They're right on average with that.
And every week, and we heard it today from Dick Vermeil, their former coach, every week you hear somebody else saying this is the best offense they've ever seen.
Ever in the NFL.
Chris Thomas has been doing the kicking off. The left-footed wide receiver. The kickoff, Tim Dwight from the 17. Waiting for a lane to open up. Weaves his way up to the 38. 1:03 remaining. Let's go to JB for an update on the... Thanks, JB. And the Giants keep pace with the Redskins. They're both 5-2. Coming up next, 49ers and the Packers from Green Bay with Pat Summerall and John Madden there to bring you all the action. Don't forget Game 4, National League Championship Series tonight here on Fox, beginning at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Chandler, no timeouts for the Falcons. Christian across midfield, pulled down at the Rams 47-yard line. Today's game is produced by Michael Burks, directed by Andy Kindle, associate director Rich Dewey, broadcast associate Tom Yohe. The technical producer is David Graham. The studio show produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. The senior producer of Fox Sports is Bill Brown. The executive producers are Ed Gorin and David Hill. Jamal Anderson picks up a first down at the 36-yard line. Clock running. Falcons are out of timeouts. Thanks to our spotter Gary Lynn and our statistician in the booth Emmett McGuire. Mark Sosna with the stats down in the control room. Pass is complete to Brian Finneran at the 20-yard line.
And that'll do it.
And that's it. The Rams are 6-0. And Mike Martz becomes only the fourth rookie coach in NFL history to start 6-0. The last one was Red Miller of the Denver Broncos in 1977. Dick Vermeil. He's telling people about his former team. Mike Martz, his team is now 6-0. They win it 45-29.
Sports thanks you for watching this presentation of the National Football League. The NFL is online at www.nfl.com.
Back in St. Louis, where the Rams have beaten the Falcons 45-29, sweeping the season series.